Chapter 939. Fu Tu Hong was tall and had a cold smile on his face. He stared at Lin Tian with a frivolous attitude, as if he was staring at a toy. Lin Tian swept a glance at this person. His expression was calm, and he didn't bother with him. He just stood on the spot quietly, and the dragon patterns at the bottom of his feet became stronger. Strand by strand, they sank into the ground and headed towards the fist-sized jade stone in the depths of the ancient peak. At the side, the five elements crocodile couldn't help but laugh out loud. TSK, TSK, TSK. Kid, you've become the target of the competition. Lin Tian couldn't be bothered with it, and he focused his attention on the bottom of the ancient peak. At this moment, the dragon patterns at the bottom of his feet had already broken through the 6,000 zhang of soil layer, and they were about to reach the jade stone. At this moment, he had to be even more careful in controlling the dragon patterns to prevent the jade stone from being damaged. The eyes of the young disciples of the five great sects lit up when they heard Fu Tu Hong's words. I agree with Senior Brother Fu, a disciple of the Coiling Dragon's Sacred Gate said. I agree as well. Me too. I agree. That's good. Not only can we punish that bold thief, but we can also fully display the strength of the five senior brothers. The outstanding disciples of the other four great sects also spoke up. At this moment, all the disciples of the five great sects stared at Lin Tian with a cold smile, and then looked at the other four young men in the crowd. The four young men were separated from each other by a certain distance. One of them was dressed in black, and his expression was cold. He was Hao Xianhui of the Simluo Divine Sect. The second person was tall and slender, and his expression was indifferent. He was Wen Shu of the Azure Mark Immortal Pavilion. The third young man was dressed in purple, and he was Sun Yoha of the Mystic Wind Fire Island. The fourth person had one hand behind his back. He was Gu Yangmu of the Hejia Immortal Sect. The four of them had naturally heard Fu Tu Hong's words. At this moment, their gazes also landed on Lin Tian, and all of them were very cold. The great Dao Realm elders of the five great sects stared at Lin Tian, and then they exchanged glances. They could not help but nod. In that case, let's do it this way, one of the elders said. Then, the five of them each nodded to the strongest among the younger generation of their sections. Their meaning was very clear. They were going to compete according to Fu Tu Hong's idea. Fu Tu Hong immediately laughed wildly, and he appeared even more domineering. He glanced at Lin Tian, and then looked at Sun Yoha and the other three in the crowd. His battle intent was very strong. Are we really going to use that person as the target of the competition and use his life to decide who is number one among the five? That's too cruel. Outside the five ancient peaks, all the cultivators stared at this place. Many people could not help but gasp. This is bad. We can't even die happily now. Some cultivators looked at Lin Tian and could not help but shake their heads. Lin Tian was naturally aware of everything in the surroundings, but he did not care at all. At this time, the dragon patterns under his feet interweaved, and he finally broke through the layer of earth and arrived at the side of the jade stone under the ancient peak. He took a step back, and there was a fist-sized hole under his feet. He calmed down the circulation of the dragon burial scripture, and with a shake of his right hand, he grabbed a fist-sized jade stone from below. In the surroundings, many cultivators revealed surprised expressions when they saw this. He dug a stone up here. He's been standing there all this time. So he was digging a jade stone under the ancient peak. That piece of jade looks quite ordinary, some cultivators said. These cultivators stood outside the five ancient peaks, and from the surface, the jade stone in Lin Tian's hand was indeed very ordinary. However, Lin Tian was shocked at this time. At this moment, holding the jade stone, he felt his body suddenly become very comfortable. The flow of divine power in his body accelerated on its own, and his spirit became stronger in the blink of an eye. Even the laws of the great path in his body involuntarily surged and became extremely boiling, as though they were about to burst into the sky. His expression changed, and he stared unblinkingly at the jade stone in his hand. Just by holding on to the jade stone, he could feel that all aspects of his body's strength had increased. Is this what you're looking for? The Five Elements crocodile was like Lin Tian. He did not care about the cultivators of the five sects and the rogue cultivators outside the five ancient peaks. At this time, he came over and stared at the jade stone in Lin Tian's hand. He paused for a moment, and his eyes suddenly flickered. He muttered, "This thing, why does Uncle Crocodile remember seeing it somewhere before?" Lin Tian immediately looked at him and asked, "Have you seen this kind of jade stone before?" The Five Elements crocodile pondered and said, "Oh, I seem to have seen it somewhere before. It seems to be a very extraordinary thing. Uncle Crocodile, please think about it. You should be able to remember it soon." A wisp of light flashed in Lin Tian's eyes. He nodded and said to the Five Elements crocodile, "All right, let's find a quiet place." As he spoke, he and the Five Elements crocodile turned around and walked out of the five ancient peaks. At this time, he had already found the thing that the divine sword in his sea of consciousness had hinted to him. There was no need to stay here any longer. Swish! The sound of air being pierced resounded, and a tall figure blocked in front of him. It was the coiling dragon sacred gates, Fu Tu-hong. "You can't escape." Fu Tu-hong's expression was arrogant as he blocked Lin Tian's path. However, he didn't even look at Lin Tian. Instead, his gaze fell on Sun Yoha and the other three young experts. Clearly, he didn't put Lin Tian in his eyes at all. "Your head will be mine in the end." He stared at Sun Yoha and the others with a domineering battle intent. Sun Yoha of the profound Wind Flame Island, Gu Yangmu of the Hejiao Immortal Sect, Owen Shu of the Azure Mark Immortal Pavilion, and Hao Xianhui of the Sinluo Divine Sect all had indifferent expressions on their faces. At this time, they also moved. A single step covered 100 meters, and they arrived outside of Lin Tian in the blink of an eye. They looked at each other coldly and surrounded Lin Tian together with Fu Tu-hong. Immediately, powerful divine might interweaved around the bodies of the five of them. There were even faint ripples of laws of the Tao spreading around them. "Brat, you've really become a target." The Five Elements crocodile clicked its tongue and wanted to laugh out loud. Lin Tian did not mind it. He looked at the five people surrounding him indifferently. "Back off. Don't force me to kill you." His voice was calm and not loud at all, but it caused the expressions of all the cultivators in this place to freeze. Outside the five ancient peaks, all the cultivators stared at Lin Tian with strange expressions. At this time, Lin Tian was surrounded by Fu Tu-hong and the other four young cultivators who could kill ordinary cultivators of the Great Tao. But he actually said to the five young cultivators, "Back off. Don't force me to kill you." To many cultivators, this was completely unreasonable and incomprehensible. Within the five ancient peaks, the elders of the five great sects were expressionless, while the other young cultivators could not help but laugh out loud. "Back off? Don't force me to kill you? Ha, no. This is too funny. Are you stupid? Because of extreme fear, my brain is not enough." Many young cultivators from the five great sects stared at Lin Tian as if they were looking at a clown, their faces full of mockery. Fu Tu-hong and the other four surrounded Lin Tian. They did not mind Lin Tian's words at all, or rather, they directly ignored him. At this moment, the five only stared at each other. Their auras were already clashing in secret. Then, as their auras grew stronger and stronger, the clash between them became even more intense, causing the space around them to creak like a fragile paper window. Lines of distortion appeared, as if it would shatter at any moment. Such a scene caused the hearts of the cultivators in the area to tremble. It's just a clash of auras, and yet it's already like this. This, terrifying, among the younger generation, perhaps only the divine sons and goddesses of the top factions can suppress these five. Outside the five ancient peaks, some cultivators said. Then they looked at Lin Tian and couldn't help but shake their heads. "This guy, sigh. Why did he have to provoke the people of the five great sects? Now, he's dead for sure, and it'll be very tragic." Many people sighed. Boom! At this moment, five tyrannical divine energies soared into the sky. Fu Tu-hong and the others looked at the other four, their battle intent surging. "His head is mine." Fu Tu-hong laughed madly and took a step forward. Cold, killing light interweaved in his hand as he grabbed at Lin Tian's head. Hao Xianhui of the Sinluo divine sect snorted coldly. He deflected his sword and strode toward Lin Tian. On the other side, Sun Yoha of the Mystic Wind Fire Island, Gu Yangmu of the Hajiao Immortal Sect, and O Wenshu of the Azure Mark Immortal Pavilion also moved. Each of them used their killing light to envelop Lin Tian. Moreover, the 5 of them used their secret arts at the same time and attacked each other, preventing anyone else from getting close to Lin Tian. They also shot out rays of divine light. Boom! For a time, the space couldn't stop cracking, and dense cracks spread out in all directions like a spiderweb. Senior brother Hao of my sect will definitely take that person's head and become number 1. Senior brother Sun of my Mystic Wind Fire Island will be number 1. That person's head belongs to senior brother Fu Tu Hong of my sect. Senior brother Gu Yangmu is the strongest. Senior brother O of my sect will definitely suppress everyone and be the first to take down that thief's head. The young disciples of the 5 great immortal sects clenched their fists as they stared at the strongest young experts of their respective sections. The elders of the 5 great immortal sects seemed to be emotionless, but in fact, their eyes were intertwined with radiance as they stared at the young geniuses of their respective sections. It was obvious that they were all waiting for their young geniuses to emerge victorious. Boom! Divine energy vibrated as the 5 of them attacked Lin Tian and each other at the same time, causing the ground to tremble. While Lin Tianju was in the midst of this berserk massacre, his expression remained indifferent. "You asked for it," he said. His voice was still very calm. A circle of golden light spread out like a ripple, spreading in all directions. Immediately, sizzling sounds could be heard as the secret arts unleashed by Fu Tu Hong and the others were instantly crushed. They were all sent flying, coughing up mouthfuls of blood as they tumbled several dozen feet away. For a moment, the expressions of everyone present paled. How could this be? He didn't even move. He only spread out a circle of divine light. But he actually made those 5 young experts outside the 5 ancient peaks. All the cultivators were astonished as they stared at Lin Tian in disbelief. Within the 5 ancient peaks, the young disciples of the 5 great immortal sects and the 5 elders of the great Tao realm also changed their expressions, their faces filled with shock. At the same time, the expressions of Fu Tu Hong and the others changed drastically. They struggled to stand up in the distance and looked at Lin Tian in shock. At this moment, the 5 of them were completely stunned. Just now, the 5 of them attacked at the same time and didn't put Lin Tian in their eyes at all. However, Lin Tian merely stood there and shattered all their divine abilities with a wave of golden light, causing them to suffer unimaginable injuries. At this moment, they almost didn't even have the strength to move. Lin Tian's expression was still indifferent. He raised his right hand slightly and pointed his index finger at Fu Tu Hong. Fu Tu Hong's expression instantly changed, and his arrogant attitude was no longer there. His eyes revealed a hint of fear. "What do you want to do?" PFFF. A beam of golden light flew out from Lin Tian's right index finger and instantly arrived in front of Fu Tu Hong, crushing him into pieces. P.S. I woke up early in the morning to write. I'm finally done now. I'm going to update it immediately. I hope everyone can enjoy reading it. Then I'll still update it once again today. I hope the dragon can adjust as soon as possible. I'll be able to update it again by the beginning of next month at the latest. I hope everyone can forgive me for these few days. I'll just return home, and there are quite a lot of things to do. Then, I'll recommend a Xinsha novel to everyone. It was written by an old friend of the dragon. If everyone is free, go take a look and collect it. Thank you, everyone. Chapter 940. This examination might take a long time. Therefore, Dragon wanted to take a long leave of absence. It would be around half a month. Dragon did not know what to say. Dragon felt terrible as he typed these words. After writing for so long, this was the first time the 10-directional Divine King had stopped updating. Dragon did not want to let everyone down. But now, Dragon was completely overwhelmed by fear. He could not do anything. He could not even eat. He felt like he would collapse at any moment. I hope everyone can give Dragon some time. I hope that Dragon is fine. Everyone, please wait for Dragon to come back. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm typing. Please wait for a moment. Chapter 941. The jade stone flickered with a faint radiance. It was only the size of a fist, but it was crystal clear, as if it was a perfect piece of art. Lin Tian held the jade stone and felt his essence, qi, and great Tao laws in his body jump violently. Think quickly, he said to the five elements crocodile. The five elements crocodile curled its lips. What's the rush? It's not like I'm rushing to reincarnate. Although it said that, it was seriously staring at the jade stone in Lin Tian's hand as it carefully thought about it. Lin Tian looked at it and did not say anything else to disturb it. He waited quietly. In the blink of an eye, 15 minutes passed. At this moment, the five elements crocodile stared at the jade stone in Lin Tian's hand. Its eyes gradually widened, and its body trembled slightly. Seeing its reaction, Lin Tian knew that it must have thought of something. He asked, "Do you know what this is?" The five elements crocodile nodded. Its body was still trembling slightly, and its eyes were filled with shock. This seems to be Qi luck, celestial stone, it said with a trembling voice. Lin Tian frowned. Qi luck, celestial stone? He had been in the cultivation world for many years, and he knew many things. However, this was the first time he had heard of something like a Qi luck, celestial stone. The five elements crocodile stared at the jade stone in Lin Tian's hand, and its eyes were filled with shock. It took a few deep breaths before it could calm down. You understand the word luck, don't you? It said to Lin Tian. Lin Tian nodded. He naturally knew about luck. This sort of thing was the most illusory, and it generally referred to fate. It existed in the heavens and the earth, and it was something that living beings were unable to grasp. No matter if it was ordinary mortals, mortal empires, cultivators, or inheritances of sacred grounds, all of them cared about luck extremely, and it was even to the extent of reverence. Because this thing had a great impact on any living being, mortal empires, inheritances of sacred grounds, or even a large world. A simple example would be if a person's luck was extremely good, then it was possible for a person to pick up a divine weapon or a great treasure while casually walking through the mountains. However, if one's luck was extremely bad, then it was possible for that person to be struck by lightning as soon as he went out. This was luck. This thing was truly too important to all things in the world. Even though it couldn't be seen or touched, it was extremely important. The five-element crocodile nodded, and it stared at the fist-sized jade stone in Lin Tian's hand before taking another deep breath. And then it said, "This karmic immortal stone is a material immortal stone condensed from luck." Lin Tian's hand trembled when he heard this, and he almost dropped the jade stone in his hand. "What did you say?" He glared at the five-element crocodile as he spoke. Earlier, when he heard the five-element crocodile mention the words karmic immortal stone, and when he heard the five-element crocodile ask about something like luck, he guessed that this jade stone might be related to luck. But never had he imagined that the relationship would be so great. And it was actually a material immortal stone condensed from luck. Luck! That thing was illusory and couldn't be touched. Even emperor-rank experts couldn't sense or capture it. But now, he was holding a material immortal stone condensed from luck. "Are you sure?" He stared at the five-element crocodile. It wasn't that he didn't believe the five-element crocodile, but the five-element crocodile's words were too unbelievable. Luck! Such a thing could actually condense into a material form. The five-element crocodile was already calmer at this time. Hearing Lin Tian's question, he hesitated for a moment. This thing, Uncle Crocodile only saw it in a secular world's unofficial history. At that time, because it involved luck, I looked at it a few more times. I remember it clearly. The description in the book is exactly the same as the jade in your hand. But whether it's the real thing or not, this is hard to say. Lin Tian frowned and muttered to himself, "Secular world's unofficial history?" Although the unofficial history of the secular world was occasionally true, most of it was fabricated by some storytellers. At this time, listening to the five-element crocodile's words, he was even more doubtful. Was this thing really a material immortal stone condensed from luck? He stared at the jade in his hand, a little doubtful. But soon his frown deepened. At this time, looking at the fist-sized jade, he thought that this jade was something that the divine sword in his sea of consciousness sensed and had a great reaction, which was enough to show that it was extraordinary. Perhaps it really was an immortal stone condensed from luck. For a moment, he felt a little conflicted. He paused, looked at the five-element crocodile, and asked again, in that unofficial history, did it say anything about the immortal stone of luck? The five-element crocodile nodded. Of course. It was said to be able to become immortal and become an immortal. In fact, it should be able to improve the strength of living creatures in all aspects. In addition, wearing it can increase one's lifespan by several times, and one can live for a very long time. In the future, one's luck will also become extremely buzz. Suddenly, the jade in Lin Tian's hand shone brightly, and it was so dazzling that it interrupted the five-element crocodile's words. Then, the jade turned into light, and with a swoosh, it disappeared into Lin Tian's palm and entered his body. Instantly, Lin Tian and the five-element crocodile were shocked. F***CK. Brat, you absorb it just like that. You haven't figured it out yet. Aren't you afraid that your body will explode after absorbing it? The five-element crocodile's eyes widened. Naturally, Lin Tian was also surprised. However, when he heard the words explode from the five-element crocodile, he still had an impulse to beat it up. I didn't absorb it. It went in by itself. Buzz! As soon as he finished speaking, the divine power, blood chi, and rule of law in his body boiled. There was even divine light that spread out from his body. It was dazzling. Then, in the next moment, with a loud rumble, a blazing golden divine light burst out with him as the center. It soared into the sky and instantly penetrated into the sky. Bang! A great force spread out with him as the center. It threw the five-element crocodile dozens of feet away. At this moment, the space within a radius of dozens of feet was completely enveloped by the golden divine light. There was a shocking divine power that interweaved and tumbled like the waves on the ocean. The five-element crocodile steadied his body far away. He stared at the scene, and his eyes widened. This rumble. The divine power rolled, and gusts of hurricanes appeared outside Lin Tian's body. They spread out like the autumn wind sweeping away the fallen leaves. Moreover, at the same time, golden divine lotuses appeared in the space beside him. Every single golden lotus was interwoven with a divine aura, as if they were real lotuses. It was an extremely shocking scene. Lin Tian was in the midst of the golden lotuses. At this moment, even he was shocked. The divine power, vital energy, and laws of the great path in his body seemed to have turned into wild horses that had broken free of their reins. They were completely out of his control and began to boil on their own. He could not even move his body at this moment. He could only grit his teeth and forcefully use a strand of his consciousness to look inside his body. Then he saw that the fist-sized jade had appeared next to his origin of life. At this moment, it was glowing, and as the light continued to shine, the fist-sized jade actually began to shrink. He was shocked. The jade stone was actually melting and decomposing in his body. The jade stone trembled slightly and floated next to his origin of life. Gradually, the light became more intense. The next moment, the jade stone trembled and shattered. It turned into a pure light source and completely fused with his origin of life. Seeing this scene, Lin Tian was shocked again, because to any living being, the origin of life was the most important. But now, after this jade stone was decomposed, it fused with his origin of life. This made him a little worried, but even so, he could not do anything at this moment, other than using a strand of his consciousness to see inside and outside of his body. He could not do anything else. Divine power, blood chi, great path rules, and others were all out of his control. "Kid, how are you?" The five elements crocodile called from afar. Lin Tian could not move his body. He could only use his eyes to signal that he was fine for now. It was also at this moment that his path body trembled. Majestic power surged out of his body like a volcano that had erupted. He did not have the time to reply to the five elements crocodile. His consciousness looked into his body again. He saw that the origin of life was emitting an extremely dazzling light at this moment. It was actually beating like a heart. Every beat caused his path body to tremble slightly. With every beat, an extremely powerful force surged out and flew to various parts of his body. For a moment, the divine power in his body flowed even faster. His essence, chi, and spirit rose at a very fast speed. Moreover, at this moment he could move. Although his divine power, blood chi, and great path rules were still boiling and expanding, he could control them. His expression changed slightly. Without hesitation, he immediately activated the Heart Sutra of Sunday. At the same time, he began to adjust his path. Buzz! As he activated the Heart Sutra of Sun, the golden divine light outside his body became even more intense and powerful. The speed at which his essence, chi, and spirit rose also became even faster. In the short span of a few dozen breaths, his cultivation had increased by a large margin, and it was still increasing at an alarming rate. This caused the five elements crocodile, who was not far away, to be shocked. Its eyes widened even more. Based on this situation, is he going to directly rush to the 9 heavens of the Great Path? It hasn't been long since he entered the 8 heavens of the Great Path. It stared at Lin Tian in shock. Then its body trembled. That piece of jade, is it really the deity stone of fortune that was recorded in the unofficial history book? Seeing Lin Tian's essence, chi, spirit, and the speed at which his cultivation increased, even an old monster like the crocodile was shocked. Buzz! In front of him, the divine light outside Lin Tian's body surged like golden waves. The scene was extremely shocking. Lin Tian was in this divine light, and the Heart Sutra of Sun circulated even faster, causing the golden divine light outside his body to become even thicker. At the same time, he looked inside his body. The source of his life suddenly became even more resplendent and much stronger. Waves of divine light overflowed, turning into waves of majestic power that surged into every corner of his body. And as this majestic power surged into every part of his body, he used the Heart Sutra of Sun to fully refine it. His essence, chi, spirit, and other parts began to strengthen even faster, and his cultivation rose steadily. That piece of jade, is it really formed by the condensation of fate? He was shocked. Chapter 942. Genius 1 Second Remember Online, providing you with wonderful novels to read. Lin Tian was moved. At this moment, the divine sword in his sea of consciousness began to tremble, shaking out strands of 7-colored light. It pointed directly at the underground of the 5th ancient peak in front of him, causing his eyes to flash with 2 bright lights. The divine sword overflowed with light and pointed to the underground of this ancient peak. In that case, there must be something extraordinary below. He looked at the bottom of this ancient peak with a serious expression. He directly circulated the dragon burial scripture to the limit. Dense dragon patterns appeared under his feet and crazily surged into the underground world. In the blink of an eye, the dragon patterns sank more than 300 meters into the bottom of the ancient peak. They continued to follow the direction pointed by the 7-colored light in his sea of consciousness and continued to go deeper into the underground of this ancient peak. Kid, I found something. Whooshing Crocodile looked at Lin Tian's expression and revealed a surprised expression. Lin Tian didn't say anything and just nodded. Seeing him nod, Whooshing Crocodile couldn't help but stare. There's something good here. Lin Tian was very quiet. He circulated the dragon burial scripture even more attentively. More dragon patterns appeared under his feet and spread all the way to the bottom of the ancient peak in front of him, exploring in all directions. In the blink of an eye, dozens of breaths had passed. The dragon patterns that surged out from the soles of his feet had already probed more than 700 meters into the bottom of this ancient peak. It was also at this moment that a strange light suddenly appeared in his eyes. he discovered a fist-sized jade with the dragon patterns. This piece of jade did not have any shocking aura, only a faint light lingering around it. It was not enough to attract his attention, but at this time, the light from the divine sword in his sea of consciousness was pointing straight at this piece of jade. He was slightly surprised. The divine sword in his sea of consciousness showed the scene of the five immortals' peak. At this moment, it vibrated again and emitted a seven-colored light. It was actually because of such a fist-sized jade. This really surprised him. Forget it, I'll dig it out first. He paused and thought to himself. The divine sword in his sea of consciousness was extraordinary. Since the seven-colored light from the divine sword was pointing to this jade, he believed that this jade was definitely not an ordinary item. He slightly took a deep breath. The dragon patterns on the soles of his feet intertwined and condensed into a dragon-patterned sword. In a situation where no one could see, the sword cut through the layers of soil under the soles of his feet and went straight to the fist-sized jade at the bottom of the ancient peak. He was prepared to cut a path to take the jade out after cutting through the layers of soil. At this moment, the dozen young men walked over from afar, and the speed at which the dragon-patterned sword cut through the layers of soil under his feet became faster. Seeing that Lin Tian did not respond, the faces of the dozen young men turned cold. It was especially so for the person who had spoken. A cold light flashed in his eyes. "Did you not hear what I said?" The person said coldly. Lin Tian glanced at the person and looked at Whooshing Crocodile. The five immortal peaks belong to the five great sects of the Coiling Dragon Holy Gate. They don't belong to them. The five elemental alligator glanced at the group of youths and nonchalantly said, "How should I put this? The five great sects hold a competition for the younger generation here every year. Before the competition starts, they will ask the cultivators here to leave the five ancient peaks in order to create a spacious venue for the competition. Regarding this, ordinary cultivators naturally wouldn't dare to say anything. After all, the strength of these five great sects is extremely powerful. They are the second-level great powers of this heaven domain. Ordinary people wouldn't dare to provoke these five behemoths." "Enough!" Lin Tian interrupted Whooshing Crocodile. "You only need to say the first three words." After he finished speaking, he continued to cut through the layers of soil with his dragon-patterned sword. He only paid attention to the jade stone at the bottom of the ancient peak and ignored the dozen young men. This place did not belong to the Coiling Dragon Holy Gate, and there was no need for him to give it to them. Whooshing Crocodile obviously knew what Lin Tian was thinking and pursed his lips. The faces of the dozen or so youths who had arrived here all darkened, and their gazes became even colder. "I'll say it one more time. Leave get out of here immediately. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences." The person who had spoken first said again. He was a disciple of the Coiling Dragon Holy Gate. "What's there to say? Just throw him out," a young man in yellow robes said. He was from the profound Gale Flame Island. Moreover, this person wasn't just saying it. He directly raised his hand and slapped Lin Tian's face. Punches and slaps are the best way to deal with people who don't know what's good for them. This person was a powerful cultivator at the peak of the Zephyr realm. The profound Gale Flame Island he came from was one of the five great sects in the heavenly region, along with the Coiling Dragon Holy Gate, Limitless Divine Sect, and Green Mark Immortal Pavilion. They were only weaker than the few peak forces in the heavenly region. Thinking that Lin Tian was an ordinary cultivator, he immediately attacked him. Lin Tian tilted his head and looked at this person indifferently. Instantly, the young man in yellow robes trembled. His right hand stopped, and he couldn't stop trembling. Yu at this time, facing Lin Tian's indifferent gaze, the young man in yellow robes couldn't help but feel a sense of fear. It was as if he was facing the god of death. Lin Tian looked at the young man in yellow robes. Punches and slaps are the best way to deal with people who don't know what's good for them. This is very reasonable. As soon as he finished speaking, a slap resounded out, and the yellow-clothed young man was directly blasted flying. He left behind a string of blood in the air as he directly rolled out of the 5 ancient peaks, and he let out a shrill cry of pain while a clear imprint of 5 fingers appeared on his face. This scream wasn't weak, and it immediately shocked many cultivators near the 5 ancient peaks. These cultivators were all outside the 5 ancient peaks at this time, and they all looked in the direction of this place. It seems to be a young disciple from the profound Gale Flame Island. His cultivation is very strong. How did he get injured? There, the young disciples of the 5 great sects are surrounding a young cultivator. Could it be that person who attacked? These cultivators were all surprised. At the same time, the expressions of the other 10 young men from the 5 great sects who came here to ask Lin Tian to leave changed. They didn't see Lin Tian attack just now, but they were very clear that the young man in yellow robes was definitely injured by Lin Tian. This made them both shocked and angry. They were shocked because Lin Tian attacked the young man in yellow robes, but they didn't even see how Lin Tian attacked. They were angry because they were disciples of the second-level great sects in this heaven region. Many cultivators in this heaven region would be afraid of them, but now Lin Tian dared to attack them like this. You dare to attack someone from the profound Gale Flame Island? One of the 10 young men spoke. Obviously, he was the same as the one who was sent flying by Lin Tian from the profound Gale Flame Island. Our 5 great sects are holding a competition this time. How dare you provoke us like this? You don't know what's good for you. You're courting death. The 10 people all shouted with a stern expression. Lin Tian glanced at these people, and his expression was still indifferent. Noisy. As soon as he finished speaking, his right leg shook slightly, and the dragon patterns on the soles of his feet spread, turning into a majestic force that swept towards the 10 young men. In an instant, the 10 young men were all sent flying, and all of them coughed up blood. They screamed and rolled outside the 5 ancient peaks. Most of them directly fainted. Immediately, many cultivators outside the 5 immortal peaks were shocked. They stared at Lin Tian, and their expressions changed. It seems that the young man in yellow robes from the profound Gale Flame Island at the beginning was really injured by him, and he was sent flying outside the 5 ancient peaks. The young disciples of the 5 great sects are going to hold a competition here. It's said that each great sect sent an elder of the great Tao realm. Now, he actually dares to attack the disciples of the 5 great sects here. Isn't he courting death? These cultivators were shocked. At the same time, the other cultivators in the 5 immortal peaks looked over. They were the members of the 5 great immortal sects, including the Coiling Dragon Holy Gate and the other 4 great immortal sections. Most of them were from the younger generation, but there were also 5 experts from the older generation. All of them were in the Grand Tao realm. They were the elders of the 5 great immortal sects who were here to preside over the competition. Damn it, that person. How dare he attack the people of the 5 great sects? The young disciples of the 5 great sects glared at Lin Tian, and a cold expression appeared on their faces. The 5 experts of the older generation from the 5 great sects naturally stared at Lin Tian. Their expressions were cold, and they stepped forward. Among them, the elder of the Coiling Dragon Holy Gate raised his hand and grabbed one of his disciples who was sent flying by Lin Tian. He directly scanned the disciple's sea of consciousness with his divine sense. In the blink of an eye, he understood everything. His gaze turned colder as he stared at Lin Tian. Our 5 great sects are holding a competition of the younger generation here. Not only did you not retreat, you actually dared to attack someone. Hearing the elder of the Coiling Dragon Holy Gate's words, the faces of the elders from the other 4 great sects sank. At the same time, the majority of the young disciples from the 5 great sects were furious, and many of them had killing intent in their eyes. Our 5 great sects hold a competition here every year, and no one has ever dared to not retreat to the outer regions of the 5 ancient peaks. Not only did he not retreat, he even attacked our people. This is behavior. He deserves to die. Elder, cripple him. Many young disciples from the 5 great sects shouted. Lin Tianhan glanced at them coldly, and he couldn't be bothered with them. The dragon marks on the soles of his feet surged, and he broke the ground even faster. Looking at Lin Tiantan's attitude, the faces of the elders from the coiling dragon holy gate and the other four great sects turned even darker. Killing intent surged out of their bodies. The elder of the coiling dragon holy gate snorted coldly, and he raised his hand. Killing intent intertwined as he slammed it towards Lin Tian. Elder, wait a moment. Right at this moment, a cold sneer sounded, and a tall man walked out. His gaze was somewhat oppressive, and the blood chi around him was extremely dense. It caused the space around him to distort, and many people's faces changed. That's Fu Tuhong from the coiling dragon holy gate. What a powerful aura! Just her aura alone is enough to affect the surrounding space, causing it to distort. Many cultivators felt their hearts tremble. Moreover, even the four great Virtue Realm elders from profound Firestorm Island, Samluo Divine Sect, Green Mark Immortal Pavilion, and Hegemon Immortal Sect could not help but be shocked by Fu Tuhong's aura. Even great Virtue Realm existences like them were shocked. The elder of the coiling dragon holy gate looked at Fu Tuhong, and there was a smile on his face. Tuhong, what's the matter? Fu Tuhong was a rare genius of the coiling dragon holy gate. She had reached the half-step Grand Dao realm at such a young age, and her name had already spread throughout the sixth heaven. Her future achievements were limitless. Looking at Fu Tuhong, the elder's face was naturally filled with smiles. Fu Tuhong seemed a little arrogant, and she sneered at Lin Tian. Everyone thinks that I'm on par with the profound Firestorm Island Sun Yoha, Hegemon Immortal Sects Gu Yangmu, Green Mark Immortal Pavilions O Wunshu, and the limitless divine sects Hao Xianhui. Since the four of them are here, why don't we make a bet with this person? The five of us will attack together, and we'll see who gets the first place. This competition is simple, fair, and direct. P.S. I've made everyone worried recently. I sincerely thank everyone for their concern for Long. Thank you, Long is back. Long has just returned to Sichuan, and there are many things to do. This chapter is a little late. Please forgive me. Also, tomorrow's update should be around 9 p.m. Chapter 943. Fu Tuhong had a tall stature, and a cold sneer hung on his face as he stared at Lin Tian frivolously. It was as if he was staring at a toy. Lin Tian merely swept a glance at this person. His expression was indifferent, and he did not bother with him. He merely stood quietly on the spot, and the dragon marks on the soles of his feet grew stronger. Strands of dragon marks entered the ground and headed for the fist-sized jade stone in the depths of the ancient peak. At the side, the whooshing crocodile couldn't help but laugh out loud. Tisk, TSK, 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 kid, you've become the target of the competition. Lin Tian couldn't be bothered with the whooshing crocodile, and his attention was focused on the bottom of the ancient peak. At this time, the dragon marks on the soles of his feet had already broken through the 600 zhang layer of soil. They were about to reach the jade stone. At this time, he had to be more careful in controlling the dragon marks to prevent any damage to the jade stone. In the surroundings, the young disciples of the five great sects listened to Fu Tuhong's words, and many of their eyes lit up. I agree with Senior Brother Fu, a disciple of the coiling dragon Holy Gate said. I agree as well. Me too. Agree. That's good. Not only can we punish that bold thief, but we can also display the strength of our five senior brothers. Outstanding disciples of the other four great sects also spoke. At this time, all the disciples of the five great sects stared at Lin Tian with a cold smile on their faces. They then looked at the other four young men in the crowd. These four young men were separated by a certain distance. One of them was clad in black, and his expression was cold. He was the Sun Luo Divine Cult's Hao Xianhui. The second young man had a slender body and an indifferent expression. He was the Green Mark Immortal Pavilion's Owen Shu. The third young man was clad in purple, and he was the Black Wind Flame Island Sun Yoha. The fourth young man had one hand behind his back, and he was the first immortal sex Gu Yangmu. The four of them naturally heard Fu Tuhong's words, and at this time, their gazes landed on Lin Tian. Their expressions were cold. The five great sects Grand Dao Realm elders stared at Lin Tian, and they exchanged glances with each other. They couldn't help but nod their heads. "Then, let's do it this way," one of the elders said. Then, the 5 of them nodded to the strongest of the younger generation in their respective sections. It was obvious that they would compete according to Fu Tu-hong's idea. Fu Tu-hong laughed maniacally, appearing even more domineering. She glanced at Lin Tianyi, then at Sun Yoha and the other 3 in the crowd. Her battle intent was extremely strong. Are we really going to use that person as the target of the competition? We'll use his life to determine who will be number 1 out of the 5. Isn't Madam too cruel? Outside the 5 ancient peaks, all the cultivators were staring at this place. Many of them couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. "Oh no, now I can't even die a quick death." Some cultivators looked at Lin Tian and couldn't help but shake their heads. Lin Tian was naturally aware of everything around him, but he didn't care in the slightest. At this time, the dragon patterns on the soles of his feet interweaved, and he finally broke through the soil layer and arrived beside the jade stone at the bottom of the ancient peak. He took a step back, and there was a fist-sized hole under his feet. He slowed down the circulation of the dragon burial scripture. With a wave of his right hand, he grabbed a fist-sized jade stone from below. Around him, many cultivators were surprised when they saw this scene. He dug up a stone. He's been standing there all this time. So he was digging up a jade stone at the bottom of the ancient peak. "That jade stone looks quite ordinary," some cultivators said. These cultivators stood outside the 5 ancient peaks. On the surface, the jade stone in Lin Tian's hand was indeed very ordinary. However, Lin Tian was surprised at this time. At this time, he held the jade stone and felt his body suddenly become very comfortable. The divine power in his body automatically flowed faster, and his essence, energy, and spirit also became stronger in the blink of an eye. Even the great Tao law in his body involuntarily surged and became extremely boiling, as if it was about to erupt into the sky. He was directly moved, and he stared at the jade stone in his hand without blinking. Just holding this jade stone, he felt that his strength in all aspects was enhanced. This is what you're looking for. Wuxing Crocodile, like Lin Tianyi, didn't care about the cultivators of the 5 major sects and the group of individual cultivators outside the 5 ancient peaks at all. At this time, he came over and stared at the jade stone in Lin Tian's hand. After a pause, his eyes suddenly flickered a little. He muttered, "Why does Lord Crocodile remember seeing it somewhere?" Lin Tian suddenly looked at him and asked, "Have you seen this jade stone?" Wuxing Crocodile pondered and said, "Well, I seem to have seen it somewhere. It seems to be a very extraordinary thing. Let Lord Crocodile think about it. I should be able to remember it soon." Lin Tian's eyes flashed a ray of light. He nodded and said to Wuxing Crocodile, "Okay, let's find a quiet place." With that said, he and Wuxing Crocodile turned around and walked out of the 5 ancient peaks. At this time, he had found what the divine sword in his sea of consciousness indicated, so there was no need to stay here anymore. Whoosh! There was a sound of breaking through the air, and a tall figure blocked in front of him. It was Fu Tu-hong of the Coiling Dragon Holy Sect. "You can't escape." Fu Tu-hong looked arrogant and blocked Lin Tian, but he didn't look at Lin Tian at all. Instead, his eyes fell on Sun Yoha and the other 4 young experts not far away. Obviously, he didn't put Lin Tian in his eyes at all. "Your head will be mine in the end." He looked at Sun Yoha and the other 3 with a threatening fighting spirit. Sun Yoha of the Xianfeng Fire Island, Gu Yangmu of the Heijiao Immortal Sect, Owen Shu of the Green Mark Immortal Pavilion, and Hao Xianhui of the Sinluo Immortal Sect. These 4 people all looked indifferent. At this time, they also moved. With one step, they covered a distance of 100 feet. In an instant, they came to the periphery of Lin Tian. They looked at each other coldly. Together with Fu Tu-hong, they surrounded Lin Tian in the center. Suddenly, tyrannical divine power intertwined outside the 5 people's bodies. There was even a faint fluctuation of Tao law permeating the air. "Kid, you've really become a target." Wuxing Crocodile clicked its tongue and wanted to laugh. Lin Tian didn't care about it. He glanced indifferently at the 5 people surrounding him. "Back off. Don't force me to kill you." His voice was calm and not loud at all, but it made all the cultivators in this place stunned. Him. Outside the 5 peaks, all the cultivators stared at Lin Tian with a strange expression. At this time, Lin Tian was surrounded by Fu Tu-hong and the other 4 young experts who could kill ordinary Grand Dao cultivators. However, he actually told them to back off. Don't force me to kill you. This was completely ridiculous and incomprehensible in the eyes of many cultivators. Inside the 5 peaks, the elders of the 5 great sects were expressionless while the other young cultivators couldn't help but laugh. Back off. Don't force me to kill you. Ha ha, no, this is too funny. Are you stupid? Because of extreme fear, your brain can't work anymore. Many young cultivators stared at Lin Tian as if they were looking at a clown. Their faces were full of mockery. Fu Tu-hong and the other 4 surrounded Lin Tian. They didn't care about Lin Tian's words at all, or it could be said that they directly ignored him. At this moment, the 5 of them were just staring at each other. The auras outside their bodies were already secretly clashing with each other. Then, as the auras outside their bodies grew stronger and stronger, the clash between their auras became even more intense, causing the void to creak like a fragile paper window. Distortions appeared as if it would shatter in the next moment. Such a scene made the hearts of all the cultivators in this place tremble. It's just a collision of auras, and it's already like this. This is terrifying. Among the younger generation, I reckon that only the divine sons and daughters of the top forces can suppress these 5 people. Outside the 5 ancient peaks, a cultivator said. Then, these cultivators looked at Lin Tian and couldn't help but shake their heads. Sigh. Why did he have to provoke the people of the 5 great immortal sects? Now, he's dead, and it will be very tragic. Many people sighed. Boom! At this time, 5 powerful divine powers shot up into the sky. Fu Tu-hong and the others looked at the other 4 people, their battle intent soaring wildly. His head is mine! Fu Tu-hong laughed wildly and took a step forward. Cold, killing lights intertwined in his big hand, and he directly grabbed Lin Tian's head. Hao Xianhui of the Sanluo immortal sect snorted coldly and swung his sword away, striding towards Lin Tian. On the other side, Sun Yoha of the Black Gale immortal island, Gu Yangmu of the Black Gale immortal sect, and O1 Shu of the Green Mark immortal pavilion also moved. Each of them shrouded Lin Tian with killing lights. At the same time, the 5 of them also used their divine powers and secret techniques at the same time, attacking each other to prevent anyone other than themselves from getting close to Lin Tian. Shocking divine lights shot out one after another. Boom! For a time, the space couldn't stop cracking. Dense cracks spread out in all directions like a spider web. Senior brother Hao of my sect will definitely take that person's head and become the number 1. Senior brother son of my Black Gale immortal island is the number 1. That person's head belongs to senior brother Fu Tu-hong of my sect. Senior brother Gu Yangmu is the strongest. Senior brother O of my pavilion will definitely suppress everyone and be the first to take that bastard's head. The young disciples of the 5 great immortal sects looked forward and stared at the strongest young experts of their respective sections. Each of them clenched their fists. The elders of the 5 great immortal sects who came here didn't seem to have any emotional fluctuations, but in fact, their eyes were intertwined with sharp lights. They stared at the young geniuses of their respective sects, clearly hoping that their own young geniuses would win. Boom! Divine energy vibrated. The 5 of them attacked Lin Tian while attacking each other, causing the ground to tremble. Lin Tian's expression remained indifferent as he stood in the middle of this violent, killing, divine flow. You asked for it, he said. His voice was still very calm. A circle of golden light spread out like a ripple, spreading out in all directions. Instantly, a sizzling sound rang out. The divine abilities and secret techniques of Fu Tu-hong and the other 4 were all crushed in an instant. They were all sent flying, coughing out large mouthfuls of blood as they rolled several hundred feet away in a sorry state. In an instant, everyone in this place turned pale. How can this be? He didn't even move. He only spread out a circle of divine light, but he actually made those 5 young experts. Outside the 5 ancient peaks, all the cultivators were shocked. They stared at Lin Tian in disbelief. Within the 5 ancient peaks, the young disciples of the 5 great immortal sects and the 5 great Tao realm elders also changed their expressions. Their faces were full of shock. At the same time, the expressions of Fu Tu Hong and the other 4 changed drastically. They struggled to stand up in a sorry state and looked at Lin Tian with some shock. At this moment, the 5 of them were completely stunned. Just now, the 5 of them attacked at the same time. They did not take Lin Tian seriously at all. However, Lin Tian was different. With just a golden light, he shattered all their divine abilities and caused them to suffer unimaginable injuries. At this moment, they almost did not even have the strength to move. Lin Tian's expression was still indifferent. He raised his right hand slightly and pointed his index finger at Fu Tu Hong. Fu Tu Hong's expression changed instantly. Her arrogant attitude was no longer there. There was a hint of fear in her eyes. "What do you want to do?" Poof! A golden light flew out from Lin Tian's right index finger. It instantly arrived in front of Fu Tu Hong and crushed her. P.S. I woke up early in the morning to write my story. Now that I'm finally done, I'll update it immediately. I hope everyone will enjoy reading it. Also, it's still 1 update today. I'll adjust myself as soon as possible and resume 2 updates a day by the beginning of next month at the latest. I hope everyone can forgive me for these few days. I'll just return home and have a lot of things to do. Next, I'd like to recommend a Xianxia novel, Heaven's Rule. It was written by a fellow villager of the dragons. If you have time, go take a look and add it to your collection. Thank you. Chapter 944. Fu Tu Hong's body exploded, and blood splattered in the air, dyeing the ground red. Everyone was shocked. Fu Tu Hong is dead. This? He. Many cultivators stared at the spot where Fu Tu Hong's body exploded, then turned to look at Lin Tian. In an instant, their expressions changed. The powerful Fu Tu Hong, who was at the half-step Grand Tao realm, could kill ordinary early-stage Grand Tao realm experts. However, he was killed with a single finger. At this time, Sun Yoha and the other 4 young experts were stunned by this scene. Even their elders were astonished. Senior Brother Fu. Senior Brother was at the half-step Grand Tao realm. How could he be killed by that bastard? How is this possible? The group of Coiling Dragon Holy Gate's young disciples who had arrived were both shocked and enraged. The strongest young disciple of their faction, the person who was destined to become their holy prince, was actually killed in this place. Moreover, it was killed with a single finger. Bastard! Damn it! The Grand Tao realm elder's eyes turned red, and his eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. With a rumbling sound, this person directly stepped out and charged towards Lin Tian. His tyrannical divine power shattered a large part of the void. This, an elder from the Coiling Dragon Holy Gate, actually made a move. He's at the 4th Heavenly Tao realm. Outside the 5 ancient peaks, many cultivators were shocked. Boom! Divine energy rippled as the elder from the Coiling Dragon Holy Gate pressed down on Lin Tian. He stretched out his hand, and endless killing intent filled the air. Elder, kill him. Kill this bastard, and take revenge for Senior Brother Fu. Kill, kill, kill. The group of young disciples from the Coiling Dragon Holy Gate glared at Lin Tian with hatred. It was as if they wanted to eat Lin Tian alive. Boom! The elder from the Coiling Dragon Holy Gate pressed down on Lin Tian. The killing intent in his hand became even more terrifying, and the wind howled. Damn it! Damn it! That person roared furiously. A genius that was hard to come by in several thousand years had already reached the half-step Grand Tao realm at such a young age. His future achievements were limitless, and he could push the Coiling Dragon Holy Gate to greater heights. To the Coiling Dragon Holy Gate, Huang Xiaolong was extremely important. But now, such a genius who was so important to the Coiling Dragon Holy Gate was killed just like that. Die! This person glared at Lin Tian with bloodshot eyes. He slapped down the assassins who were covering the entire area with killing intent, and was about to go mad with hatred. With rumbling sounds, the crazy winds became even more unbridled, sweeping in all directions. Lin Tian stood in place and glanced at this person indifferently. He flicked his finger and a golden sword light shot out. With a loud clang, the golden sword light pierced through the air, shattering all the killing lights. Before everyone's shocked gazes, the golden sword light pierced through the coiling dragon Holy Gate's Grand Tao Elder's forehead. The Grand Tao Elder's head exploded, and even his soul was annihilated. In an instant, everyone's expressions changed again. There were even some people who couldn't help but tremble. A Grand Tao Realm Elder of the coiling dragon Holy Gate actually, it was just a flick of the finger, and that's an expert of the Great Tao Realm. How is this possible? Everyone was shocked. This elder of the coiling dragon Holy Gate was an expert of the fourth heavenly Tao realm. He was incomparably powerful, but such a powerful elder was killed with a flick of the finger, just like Fu Tu Hong. How strong was Huang Xiaolong's battle power? At this time, even the elders of the other four superpowers who had come to the coiling dragon Holy Gate were shocked. The group of young disciples of the coiling dragon Holy Gate trembled in fear. At this time, they stared at Lin Tian with fear in their eyes. You killed senior brother Fu Tu Hong, and also our elder. Sect chief will not let you go. You'll also die. Our coiling dragon Holy Gate won't let this matter rest. The young disciples of the same faction who had come to the coiling dragon Holy Gate were trembling in fear. While saying these words, they couldn't help retreating backwards. The whooshing crocodile swept a glance over these people and shook its head. Idiots, even at this time, you still dare to make such threats. Almost as soon as the whooshing crocodile finished speaking, the sound of swords rang in the air. Lin Tian didn't even look at these young disciples of the coiling dragon Holy Gate. With a wave of his hand, dense golden sword chi flew towards the group of young disciples like a meteor shower. In an instant, the group of young disciples of the coiling dragon Holy Gate who had come to the coiling dragon Holy Gate trembled violently. The fear in their eyes increased by more than 10 times. No! These people screamed in fear and tried to escape, but it was a pity that they couldn't escape. Pooh! 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 Blood mist exploded one after another, dyeing the void red. In the blink of an eye, all the young disciples of the coiling dragon Holy Gate who had come to the coiling dragon Holy Gate had been killed. In an instant, all the cultivators present trembled violently. This, all dead. These cultivators were horrified. The young disciples of the coiling dragon Holy Gate who could come to the coiling dragon Holy Gate were all outstanding people, and they were all future pillars of the Holy Gate. But now, all of them were killed in the blink of an eye. The coiling dragon Holy Gate will go crazy, someone said in a trembling voice. The people from the Green Mark Immortal Pavilion and the other four superpowers were shocked, and even the four Grand Tao Elders were no exception. At this time, these people stared at Lin Tian, and all of them felt uneasy, especially Sun Yoha, Gu Yangmu, Owenshu, and Hao Xianhui. They couldn't help but tremble. Earlier, the four of them had surrounded Lin Tian with Fu Tu Hong, completely ignoring Lin Tian. They didn't put Lin Tian in their eyes at all, and only thought of Lin Tian as a tool. They just wanted to take Lin Tian's head to see who was the strongest. Who would have thought that the Lin Tian they were besieging would be so terrifying? He could actually kill Grand Tao experts with a wave of his hand. It was also at this time that Lin Tian stood in the middle of the battlefield, and he tilted his head to look at Sun Yoa, Gu Yangmu, Owenshu, and Hao Xianhui, competing with other people's lives. You think you're strong, but in reality, you're a mess, he said indifferently. As soon as his words fell, 4 rays of golden sword light appeared around him. Instantly, Sun Yoha and the other 3 trembled violently, and all of them revealed a look of fear. At the same time, the expressions of the 4 superpowers elders changed, and they all rushed over. Stop! One of them cried out. Clang! The sound of swords rang out again. Beside Lin Tian, 4 rays of golden sword light slashed out in a straight line, arriving in front of Sun Yoha and the other three in the blink of an eye. Puff, 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 puff. Blood splattered everywhere. Sun Yoha and the other three didn't even have time to dodge before they were all crushed into a bloody mist. Instantly, the expressions of all the cultivators in this place changed again, and many of them couldn't help but tremble. Sun Yoha, Gu Yangmu, Owunshu, and Hao Xianwei, they were all killed. Someone trembled. Ah! The great Dao realm elders of the four superpowers, including the profound Wind Flame Island, roared furiously. The strongest young geniuses of their respective factions were actually killed in front of their eyes. They were extremely furious, and for a moment, they actually forgot the scene of Lin Tiansha dying to that great Dao realm elder of the Coiling Dragon Holy Gate. They pounced toward Lin Tian like crazy, and 4 rays of killing light pressed down violently. Golden light appeared around Lin Tian's body, spreading out like water ripples, and all 4 of them were sent flying while coughing up blood. Pung, pung, pung. The 4 of them rolled in the distance, and they only stood up after a long while. The killing intent and madness in their eyes had decreased by more than half, and it was replaced by intense fear. They stared at Lin Tian, and at this time, they started to tremble. They didn't dare to shout, and they didn't dare to charge forward. Lin Tian's gaze was indifferent, and he swept a glance toward the 4 of them. The 5 Immortals Peak belongs to you? I'm only standing here to look for something, and you want to forcibly expel me, make a move on me, and let the disciples of your sex decide who gets first place based on who gets my head first. You're treating me as a tool for the disciples of your sex to compete. Do you really think that the world already belongs to you? He raised his right hand, and 4 rays of sword light appeared, ringing loudly. If those few strongest young geniuses of your sex deserve to die, then you people who let those few people compete in this way deserve to die even more. The elders of the 4 great sects, including the profound Wind Flame Island, trembled at the same time. Their expressions changed greatly. Stop, clang. The sound of the sword was ear-piercing, and it directly suppressed everything. Lin Tianyi waved his hand, and 4 rays of sword light cut across the sky like 4 flashes of lightning, enveloping the elders of the 4 superpowers. In an instant, 4 mists of blood exploded, and the 4 of them were all crushed. Even their divine sense was annihilated. Instantly, the entire place fell into a deathly silence. Everyone was completely stunned, unable to utter a single word. 4 great Dao realm experts, all of whom were at the 4th heaven of the great Dao realm, were actually killed by someone with a raise of his hand. Elders? No, how could this be? This is impossible. In the distance, the young disciples of the 4 superpowers were all terrified. At this moment, they could not help but tremble. Lin Tian tilted his head and looked at the young disciples of the 4 superpowers. Immediately, the young disciples of the 4 superpowers trembled violently again, and the fear in their eyes became even stronger. You? No, don't kill us. These cultivators retreated, trembling nonstop. Some of them even wet their pants, emitting a foul smell. Damn it, disgusting. Whooshing Crocodile cursed. Lin Tian's expression was indifferent. He glanced at these people and turned his head away. Let's go, he said to Whooshing Crocodile. As soon as he finished speaking, he rose into the air and stepped on the void. Soon, he and Whooshing Crocodile stepped out of the range of the 5 Immortals Peak and walked further away, gradually disappearing from everyone's sight. Near the 5 Immortals Peak, a group of cultivators looked in the direction where Lin Tian left. Although they could no longer see Lin Tian's figure, their eyes were still filled with intense shock and horror. This person, who is he? When did such a terrifying person appear in the younger generation? I've never heard of him before. He killed the 4th heaven of the great Dao realm expert with a raise of his hand. Many cultivators were horrified. The young disciples of Shinfeng Flame Island and the other immortal sects were even more terrified. Their 5 major immortal sects were holding a grand competition of the younger generation here, But now, the strongest experts of the younger generation of their respective immortal sects were all killed. It was equivalent to their generation's saint being killed, and each of them lost a great Tao realm elder. Such a loss was too great. These young disciples' faces were all pale. They retreated, trembling, toward their respective immortal sections. They had to report this matter to the masters of their respective immortal sects as soon as possible. Lin Tian and Wuxing Crocodile left the range of the five immortals' peak. Although their steps were gentle, their speed was very fast. At this time, they had already walked far away. They landed on a mountain and found a quiet place. Lin Tian spread his hands and took out the fist-sized jade stone that he dug out from under the five immortals' peak. Dots of light intertwined, causing the divine power in his body to flow faster again. The great Tao law also began to boil. Think carefully about what this is, he said to Wuxing Crocodile. Chapter 945. The jade shone with a faint light. It was only the size of a fist, but it was crystal clear, as if it was a perfect piece of art. As Lin Tian held the jade stone, he felt his essence, energy, and great Tao laws violently pulsating. Think quickly, he said to the Wuxing Crocodile. The Wuxing Crocodile curled its lips. What's the hurry? It's not like you're rushing to reincarnate. Although that was what it said, it still seriously stared at the jade stone in Lin Tian's hand and carefully thought about it. Lin Tian looked at it and did not disturb it. He waited quietly. In the blink of an eye, 15 minutes had passed. At this time, the Wuxing Crocodile stared at the jade in Lin Tian's hand. Its eyes gradually widened, and its demon body trembled. Seeing its reaction, Lin Tian knew that it must have thought of something. He asked, "Do you know what this is?" The Wuxing Crocodile nodded. Its demon body was still trembling, and its eyes were full of shock. "This seems to be, Qi, Stone of Fortune," it said with a trembling voice. Lin Tian frowned. Stone of Fortune? He had been in the cultivation world for many years and knew many things. However, this was the first time he had heard of something like the Stone of Fortune. The Wuxing Crocodile stared at the jade in Lin Tian's hand. Its eyes were full of shock. It took a few deep breaths to calm down. "You know the word fortune, right?" it said to Lin Tian. Lin Tian nodded. He naturally knew about fortune. This kind of thing was the most illusory and generally referred to fate. It existed between heaven and earth and was something that living beings could not capture. Whether it was ordinary mortals, mortal empires, cultivators, or the inheritors of holy lands, they were all extremely concerned about fortune. They were even in awe of it. This was because it had a great impact on any living being, mortal empires, inheritors of holy lands, and even a great world. To give a simple example, if a person's luck was extremely good, he could pick up a saint weapon while casually walking in the mountains. But if his luck was extremely bad, then he could be struck by lightning as soon as he stepped out of the door. This was luck. This thing had too much to do with all things. Even though it couldn't be seen or touched, it was extremely important. Wuxing Crocodile nodded. He stared at the fist-sized jade stone in Lin Tian's hand and took a deep breath before he said, "This immortal stone of destiny is a real immortal stone formed by destiny." When Lin Tian heard this, his hand trembled and he almost dropped the jade stone in his hand. "What did you say?" He glared at Wuxing Crocodile. Previously, when he heard Wuxing Crocodile mention the 4 words immortal stone of fate, and when he heard Wuxing Crocodile ask him about fate, he guessed that this jade stone might have something to do with fate. However, he never thought that the relationship would be so great that it was actually an immortal stone condensed from fate. What luck! That thing was illusory and untouchable. Even Emperor-level experts couldn't perceive and capture it. But now, what he was holding in his hand was an immortal stone condensed from fate. "Are you sure?" He stared at Wuxing Crocodile. It wasn't that he didn't believe Wuxing Crocodile, but Wuxing Crocodile's words were too unbelievable. Fate, such a thing, can actually condense into a substance. Wuxing Crocodile was already calmer at this time. After listening to Lin Tian's question, he hesitated for a while. This thing, Grandpa Crocodile only saw it in an unofficial history of the mortal world. At that time, because it involved fate, I took a few more glances and remembered it more clearly. The description is exactly the same as the jade stone in your hand, but whether it is the same or not, this is hard to say. Lin Tian frowned and muttered to himself, "Unofficial history of the mortal world." Although the unofficial history of the mortal world was occasionally true, most of them were fabricated by some storytellers. At this time, when he heard the 5 elements crocodile say this, he became even more suspicious. Was this thing really a substantial immortal stone condensed from destiny? He stared at the jade stone in his hand with some doubts, but soon his frown deepened. At this time, looking at this fist-sized jade stone, he thought again. This jade stone was something that the divine sword in the sea of consciousness sensed. It had a big reaction, which was enough to show that it was extraordinary. Perhaps it was really an immortal stone condensed from fate. For a moment, he felt a little conflicted. He paused, looked at whooshing crocodile, and asked again, in that unofficial history, did it mention the function of the immortal stone of fate? Whooshing crocodile nodded. Of course, it is said to be able to turn mortals into immortals. In fact, it should mean that it can improve the strength of living creatures in all aspects. In addition, wearing it can multiply one's lifespan several times. One can live for a long time, and in the future, one's luck will also become extremely. Buzz! Suddenly, the jade stone in Lin Tian's hand shone brightly. It was dazzling, and it interrupted whooshing crocodile's next words. Then, the jade stone turned into light, and with a whoosh, it entered Lin Tian's palm and directly entered Lin Tian's body. Immediately, Lin Tian and whooshing crocodile were shocked. F***CK. Brat, you absorb it just like that? You haven't really figured it out yet. Aren't you afraid of exploding and dying after absorbing it? Whooshing crocodile's eyes widened. Lin Tian was naturally shocked as well, but when he heard whooshing crocodile say exploding and dying, he still had the urge to beat it up. I didn't absorb it. It went in by itself. Buzz! Just as he finished speaking, the divine power, blood energy, and great Tao precepts in his body all boiled up. Outside his body, a dazzling divine light spread out. Then, in the next moment, there was a loud boom. With him, as the center, a blazing golden divine light burst out. It directly shot into the sky and penetrated into the firmament in an instant. Bang! A strong force spread out with him as the center, forcefully flipping whooshing crocodile and throwing it hundreds of feet away. At this time, the space within a radius of hundreds of feet was completely covered by this golden divine light. An astonishing divine power intertwined, rolling like the raging waves of a vast ocean. Whooshing crocodile stabilized its monster body in the distance. Looking at this scene, its eyes widened. This boom, divine power surged. Hurricane after hurricane rippled out from Lin Tian's body, spreading in all directions like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves. Moreover, at the same time, numerous golden divine lotuses appeared in the space beside him. Every single golden divine lotus was intertwined with a divine aura, as if they were real lotuses. The scene was exceptionally shocking. Lin Tian was in the middle of these golden lotuses. At this time, even he was shocked. The divine power, blood energy, and great Tao precepts in his body seemed to have turned into wild horses that had broken free of their reins. They were completely out of his control and began to boil on their own. At this time, he could not even move his body. He could only grit his teeth and force a trace of his divine sense to look into his body. Then, he saw that the fist-sized jade stone appeared beside his life origin. At this moment, it was emitting traces of light. As this light continued, the fist-sized jade stone gradually became smaller. He was shocked. This jade stone was actually melting and disintegrating in his body. Buzz! The jade stone trembled slightly and floated beside his life origin. Gradually, the light became more intense. Then, in the next moment, the jade stone trembled and shattered, turning into a pure light source that completely integrated into his life origin. Seeing this scene, Lin Tian was shocked again because to any living creature, life origin was the most important. But now, this jade stone had actually disintegrated and integrated into his life origin. This made him somewhat worried. But even so, he could not do anything at this moment, other than being able to force a trace of his divine sense to look inside and outside his body. He could not do anything else. Divine power, blood energy, and great Tao precepts were all completely out of his control. "Boy, how are you?" Whooshing Crocodile called out from afar. Lin Tian could not move his body. He could only force his eyes to indicate that he was fine for the time being. It was also at this moment that his Taoist body trembled, and a majestic force surged up from within his body like a volcanic eruption. He did not have the time to reply to Whooshing Crocodile. His divine sense looked inside his body again and saw that his life origin was emitting an incomparably dazzling light at this moment. It was actually beating like a heart. Every beat caused his Taoist body to tremble slightly, and every time it beat, an extremely strong force would surge out and fly to all parts of his body. For a moment, the divine power in his body flowed even faster, and his essence, energy, and spirit rose at an extremely fast speed. Moreover, it was also at this moment that he could move. Although his divine power, blood energy, and great Tao precepts were still boiling and expanding, he could control them. He was slightly moved. Without hesitation, he immediately activated the Sun Heart Sutra and began to adjust his path at the same time. Buzz! As he activated the Sun Heart Sutra, the golden divine light outside his body became even more blazing and powerful, and the speed at which his essence, energy, and spirit rose also became faster. In the short span of a few breaths, his cultivation level increased greatly, and it was still continuing. It continued to rise at an astonishing speed. This caused Whooshing Crocodile, who was not far away, to be shocked. Its eyes widened even more. According to this situation, is he going to directly rush to the 9 heavens of the Great Tao? He just entered the 8 heavens of the Great Tao not long ago. It stared at Lin Tian in shock, and then its body trembled again. That piece of jade, is it really the stone of destiny recorded in that unofficial history book? Seeing Lin Tian's essence, energy, spirit, and cultivation level increase at this moment, even an old monster like it was shocked. Buzz! In front of Lin Tian, divine light surged outside his body like waves of golden waves. The scene was extremely shocking. Lin Tian was in this divine light, and the Sun Heart Sutra activated even faster, causing the golden divine light outside his body to become even more intense. At the same time, he looked inside his body. His life origin suddenly became brighter and stronger. There were pieces of divine light overflowing, turning into waves of majestic energy that surged into every corner of his body. As this majestic energy surged into every part of his body and was fully refined by his Sun Heart Sutra, his essence, energy, and spirit began to grow stronger at an even faster speed, and his cultivation level rose steadily. That piece of jade, is it really the essence of destiny? He was shocked. Chapter 946. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Lin Tian was really a little surprised. After the jade stone broke down and entered his life essence, its effect was too great. It was much more amazing than the life crystal back then. They could not be compared. With his current cultivation of the 8th heaven of the Great Path, this jade stone could actually make his life essence continue to strengthen. His essence, chi, spirit, and cultivation were all rising rapidly. Such a piece of jade stone had such amazing effects. He faintly believed that this might really be a real celestial stone condensed from illusory fate. Buzz! His body trembled slightly. After the jade stone merged with his life essence, it became even brighter. At this time, majestic power overflowed again, quickly pouring into every corner of his body, causing the golden divine light outside his body to become thicker and thicker. Even his hair was dyed with a layer of golden brilliance. His entire body seemed to be cast from gold, and his aura was astonishing. And with this vast and mighty divine light, his cultivation rose even faster. His powerful blood chi almost penetrated the firmament. This brat in the distance, whooshing crocodile, was dumbfounded. Lin Tian's essence, chi, spirit, and cultivation were rising too quickly. At this time, Lin Tian was in the middle of the dazzling golden divine light. In the void beside him, golden lotuses swayed, sacred and auspicious, making him seem unapproachable. It was as if a celestial king had reappeared in the world. He stood there and slowly put away the shock in his heart. He forced himself to calm down and operated the Sun Heart Sutra. He seriously refined the power of the jade stone that overflowed from his life essence, causing his strength in all aspects to increase rapidly. Buzz! He stood in the mountain with his eyes slightly closed. The golden light outside his body intertwined, and then a faint light of the way flickered. This light of the way was very peaceful at first, but in the blink of an eye, it became thicker, as if a sea of the way was churning. Lin Tian had just calmed down, but now he was shocked again. At this moment, with the Sun Heart Sutra refining the power of the jade stone that overflowed from the origin of life, his great Tao suddenly began to boil rapidly, like a volcano that had been dormant for a long time erupting. The situation was horrifying. Such a situation had never occurred before. Even when he comprehended the Tao inside of the Emperor, it was far from comparable to this. The boiling degree of the laws of the Grand Tao had far exceeded his imagination and control. As the laws of the Great Path boiled like this, the Tao power in his body began to expand. A terrifying force surged out, directly shattering a large space around him. Even the ground beneath his feet cracked, quickly spreading in all directions. In the distance, the whooshing crocodile flapped its wings and retreated. The shock in its eyes became even stronger. At this moment, Lin Tian's power of the great Tao had swelled to a frightening level. In just a short moment, it had already doubled in size. This shocked the whooshing crocodile to no end. Boom! In this space, a violent wind swept through, and the Tao light rolled like waves, almost drowning all directions. Lin Tian felt all of this and was shocked. He felt as if his body was about to burst from the rapidly expanding laws of the great Tao. He didn't dare to slack off at all and hurriedly devoted 90% of his energy to his own laws of the great Tao. He began to integrate himself into his own laws of the great Tao, seriously regulating his breathing, sorting out and comprehending. As he seriously regulated his breathing, the laws of the great Tao in his body gradually calmed down. However, they were still expanding and growing at an astonishing speed. It was as if he was a cultivator who had consumed the forbidden Baodan to increase his strength. He circulated the Sun Heart Sutra over and over again, silently regulating his breathing and sorting out his laws of the great Tao. The Tao light outside his body became stronger and stronger, and the laws of the great Tao in his body became purer and purer. In the blink of an eye, several hours passed. At this time, although the Tao light outside his body was still boiling, it was much calmer than before. It was also at this time that his life source trembled slightly, and his sea of consciousness was in turmoil, causing his divine sense to suddenly appear in a hazy and boundless world. This world was still the same world that he used to comprehend his own laws of the great Tao. In this world, there were beautiful rivers and majestic mountains. Strands of Tao light flickered, giving people a feeling of vastness. "It's here again," he softly muttered to himself. His divine sense stood in this world, and he knew that this world did not really exist. It was just a kind of Tao realm that his laws of the great Tao had evolved, so he was not surprised. Moreover, his divine sense had entered this world several times already, so he was not unfamiliar with this world at all. At this time, in this world, he thought about the jade stone that had fused into his life source. He was already completely sure that the Jade Stone was the stone of destiny that Whooshing Crocodile had mentioned in the unofficial history book. It was only beneficial to him. He pondered for a moment. After he was truly sure of this, he was first slightly shocked, but then he gradually calmed down. After all, he had been shocked for a long time. He shook his head slightly and began to look at this world. This was a world that had evolved from his laws of the Great Tao. He had to seriously gaze at this world and comprehend his own laws of the Great Tao. Using his divine sense to gaze at this world and carefully perceive everything in this world, he was comprehending his own laws of the Great Tao. He silently looked at this world and only felt that this world had become even vaster, vast and boundless. He resided in this world, and just like in the past, he watched the sun rise and set, watched the plants wither and grow again. The only difference was that when he came here this time, his perception of these scenes was clearly much clearer, and it was like a dark cloud had been pushed aside. There is the principle of the cycle of all things, but more importantly, it seems that all things always have the opportunity to be born and will never fall and wither. He softly muttered to himself. He looked at these scenes, and his understanding of them was much clearer than before, but he still did not know what laws of the Great Tao were. And regarding this, after being puzzled several times, he was very calm and did not care at this time. His divine sense interweaved in this space, condensing into his figure, looking at the mountains, looking at the rivers, looking at everything. The sun rose and set, and the 4 seasons alternated. At the bottom of a mountain, he saw a white rabbit slowly jump down from a large yellow rock. Then, almost in the next moment, the yellow rock collapsed together with the ground below, and a bottomless black hole appeared. The white rabbit was safe and sound, and did not even look back as it slowly walked into the distance. He walked through an old forest and saw a mountain deer drinking by a river. After a while, the mountain deer slowly left. The calm river suddenly boiled, and the mountain torrents erupted. In an instant, everything on both sides of the river was submerged. He passed by a large mountain, and there was an eagle's nest in the mountain. The moment the eagle flapped its wings and left the nest to look for food, the entire mountain collapsed, crushing the nest into pieces, leaving only the eagle flapping its wings in the sky. This is fate? Fate? Looking at these scenes, Lin Tian was moved. The moment the white rabbit stepped over the rock sank with the ground, and the bottom of the black hole could not be seen. The moment the mountain deer turned around to drink, the mountain flood erupted, drowning everything. The moment the eagle left the nest, the mountain collapsed, crushing the eagle's nest. It was just a casual and simple movement, yet they had brushed shoulders with death. He couldn't help but be moved by this. This was definitely luck. My Tao was affected by that piece of jade. He was puzzled and puzzled. He pondered, but it was difficult for him to understand. In the end, he could only shake his head and silently stare at this world as usual. His divine sense was in this world, and in the following time he continuously saw similar scenes, reflecting and comprehending them one by one. Then in this world, the light of the Tao became more sparkling, and there were even Tao rainbows that appeared in many places. Buzz! At the same time, in reality, the golden divine light outside his body became more resplendent, and the light of the great Tao became more intense. In this way, time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. On this day, the golden divine light and the divine light of the great Tao outside Lin Tian's body became extremely intense. Then, the space between his eyebrows also shone brightly, and there was an astonishing surge of divine power that quickly calmed down. In the next moment, he opened his eyes, and the light of the Tao intertwined in his eyes, crystal clear and hazy, like a great river of divine light. The 9 levels of the great Tao, he said to himself. For 2 months, he stood motionless in the mountains, silently refining the power of the jade stone that had integrated into his body. He cultivated the Sun Heart Sutra and comprehended his own Tao. At this moment, he broke through again and stepped into the 9 levels of the great Tao. At this time, he used his divine sense to look inside his body. The jade stone had been completely refined, and his life origin had also calmed down. It was brighter and more resplendent than 2 months ago, and it had completed another great sublimation and become even stronger. He gently clenched his hands, and suddenly there was a burst of sound like beans being fried. There was a faint light of the Tao intertwining on the surface of his body, and it was twice as strong as 2 months ago. There was an astonishing divine power of the great Tao permeating the air, and it was very frightening. At the same time, he clearly felt that his blood and chi had risen a lot, and his physique had become stronger. His divine sense had become more powerful, and the divine power in his body was rolling like a golden ocean, as if there would never be a time when it would be exhausted. Good. His eyes were intertwined with a bright light, and he was a little excited. At this time, his strength in all aspects had risen greatly, and he was much, much stronger than 2 months ago. Boy, how is it? In the distance, Whooshing Crocodile saw Lin Tian open his eyes and move, and immediately shouted at Lin Tian. Lin Tian raised his head and looked at Whooshing Crocodile in the distance, and said, "Everything is good, very good." With a smile on his face, he walked towards Whooshing Crocodile. However, in the next moment, his whole body trembled violently, and his sea of consciousness suddenly shook greatly. A shocking image suddenly appeared, and his divine sense seemed to have been pulled out of his body in an instant, and he came to a vast battlefield in the starry sky. In this battlefield, he saw huge stars exploding one after another and black holes appearing horizontally. A blood-soaked figure charged in the starry sky, and his aura was strong enough to swallow mountains and rivers. He went against a pair of huge eyes and shattered a large part of the starry sky with one punch. Ah! The blood-soaked figure roared angrily, and the Tao of heaven and earth boiled. The starry sky collapsed, and everything around him was destroyed. In the end, only that pair of huge eyes were left, deep and boundless, and cold and emotionless. The image collapsed here, and Lin Tian's powerful body couldn't help but tremble violently, and he coughed up a mouthful of essence blood on the spot. Chapter 947. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Lin Tian coughed up blood. His body trembled violently, and his face turned pale. Just now, the scene that suddenly appeared in his sea of consciousness was too terrifying. It appeared out of nowhere like a dream, but it was so real. He actually saw people fighting in the starry sky, and they actually shattered stars with a raise of their hands. What level of combat power was that? In this world, could anyone fight in the starry sky? And that pair of huge eyes. Thinking of those eyes, his body trembled involuntarily, and a trace of fear rose instinctively. Just what kind of creature could have such huge pupils? The stars in the starry sky were like dust in front of it. Just a pair of eyes, and it almost occupied the entire universe. What's going on? What is that? His body couldn't help but tremble slightly. With a whoosh, the Whooshing Crocodile stepped over from afar. Its expression changed slightly as it stared at Lin Tiandao. "Kid, what's wrong with you? Did you get a Tao injury because of a mistake in your enlightenment?" Just a moment ago, it saw that Lin Tian was fine and his aura was very strong. But suddenly, it saw Lin Tian coughing up blood. This change was too sudden, and it moved it. "I'm fine." Lin Tiandao. At this time, his mind was filled with the scene that he saw in his mind. It was too terrifying, and it terrified him. Hearing his words and seeing his shocked expression, the Whooshing Crocodile couldn't help but be suspicious. "You really didn't get a Tao injury? Then why did you suddenly vomit blood? Also, what do you mean by that blank and shocked expression of yours?" Lin Tian thought about the scene that he saw in his mind, and his heart palpitated. But he could naturally hear the Whooshing Crocodile's words, and he could sense everything around him. He shook his head and said the same 2 words, "I'm fine." As he spoke, he wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, took a deep breath, and used the Sun Heart Sutra to force himself to calm down. Even so, there was still unconcealable shock in the depths of his eyes, and he couldn't help but frown deeply. He just stood there, thinking about the scene that suddenly appeared in his sea of consciousness. After dozens of breaths, he still had no clue. He didn't understand why such a terrifying scene suddenly appeared in his sea of consciousness. He couldn't figure it out at all. "Love go little say, Netachu, let's leave this place first," he said to Whooshing Crocodile. As he walked out of the mountain, he couldn't help but think about that starry sky scene. Whooshing Crocodile curled its lips, flapped its 5-colored wings, and followed. "You brat, you must be hiding something." As it spoke, it didn't ask any more questions because after scanning Lin Tianyi, it clearly felt that there was a great change in Lin Tian. He's reached the 9 heavens of the Great Path. It stared at Lin Tian with a shocked expression. It felt that Lin Tian's aura was much stronger than it was 2 months ago. Lin Tian nodded. "Yes, I'm close to the middle of the 9 heavens of the Great Path. It's all thanks to that immortal stone," he said to Whooshing Crocodile. "The unofficial history you read should be correct. That should be something substantial condensed from fate." The reason he was able to be so sure was because of the most crucial proof. After he refined and absorbed the jade, he'd seen numerous scenes that were related to karmic luck and fate when he comprehended the laws of the Grand Tao within him. At this time, when he said this, his mind was still recalling the scene of the starry sky battlefield that he saw in his sea of consciousness. However, he had calmed down a lot, and the shock in his eyes had almost disappeared. "It's really something condensed from fate. This is really," Whooshing Crocodile murmured. At first, although it said that the Jade Stone was the immortal stone of fate and told Lin Tian the contents of the unofficial history it had read, it wasn't very sure. However, at this moment, after Lin Tian refined that Jade Stone, he said with certainty that the Jade Stone was a substantial condensed from fate. This made it feel waves of surprise. It looked at Lin Tian and asked curiously, "Boy, after refining it, other than cultivation, what other changes did you experience?" The value of a substantial immortal stone condensed from fate was immeasurable. Even a flawless heavenly treasure couldn't compare to it. Now that Lin Tian had refined such a piece of immortal stone of fate, it naturally wanted to know its specific effects. This was because on the surface, it only sensed that Lin Tian's cultivation had increased by a small level. It wasn't very clear about the rest. "My cultivation has increased by a small level, my life origin has been refined again, and my soul has improved by leaps and bounds. Most importantly, my great path nomological laws have more than doubled in strength. In addition, my physique, divine sense, blood chi, and so on have also improved greatly." Lin Tian Ondao. The 5-element crocodile's eyes instantly opened wide when he heard this. The changes to his physique, divine sense, and vital energy weren't bad, but the most shocking thing was that after refining the rock of karmic luck, Lin Tian's life quintessence had actually improved once more after he refined the life crystal, and his soul had improved by leaps and bounds. Moreover, the laws of the Grand Tao had become more than 2 times stronger. This was too shocking. Before Lin Tian refined the immortal stone of fate, he was at the 8th level of the Great Path. At this level of cultivation, his life origin had improved again, his soul had improved by leaps and bounds, and his Great Path nomological laws had more than doubled in strength. Just thinking about this kind of improvement was a little scary. It felt that even a half-step emperor would be shocked if they heard it. If this is really the case, then you can definitely kill a first-level enlightenment cultivator easily now. He was a little shocked. Lin Tian's combat strength was originally extremely strong. Now that such a big change had occurred, the increase in his combat strength would naturally be very terrifying. Lin Tian nodded. Yes, he was clearer than anyone about his own changes. Now he could clearly feel the majestic battle power flowing in his body. He could easily kill a cultivator in the first layer of Enlightenment Realm. He could also kill a cultivator in the second layer of Enlightenment Realm with a little effort. Even if he faced a cultivator in the 3rd layer of Enlightenment Realm, he would not be defeated if he used all his strength. Whooshing Crocodile stared and gritted its teeth. Damn pervert. His luck is really good. He can actually find the immortal stone condensed by fate. As it spoke, It suddenly had a face full of doubts and asked Lin Tian on Dao. Speaking of which, how did you know that there was such an immortal stone of fate hidden under the Five Immortals Peak after a trip to the desolate god mausoleum? Thinking about this at this time, it really felt a little strange. I suddenly thought of it, Lin Tian said casually. Whooshing crocodile gritted its teeth. Obviously, it was very dissatisfied with this answer, but it did not continue to ask. Next time, I will also find an immortal stone of fate. It gritted its teeth. Lin Tian did not say anything and walked out of the mountain. His mind was still thinking about the scene of the starry sky battlefield that suddenly appeared in his sea of consciousness. From time to time, he would frown. This was really because the blood-soaked figure and the pair of huge eyes were too shocking. They actually fought in the starry sky universe, making it difficult for him to forget in a short period of time. Soon, several hours passed. At this time, he and Whooshing Crocodile had already left the mountain far away and were walking casually along a main road. There were many people coming and going around the main road, and there were many cultivators. Naturally, some people noticed them, and their faces immediately changed. It's that man? Some cultivators stared at Lin Tian and were shocked. Along with this exclamation, many cultivators in the vicinity immediately looked over. Then, when they saw Lin Tian, all of their faces changed. Many of them even hurriedly retreated to the sides of the main road, looking at Lin Tian with a fearful expression. 2 months ago, Lin Tian had destroyed the grand competition of the younger generation of the 5 great immortal sects, including the Coiling Dragon Sacred Sect. He had also killed the strongest young experts of the 5 great immortal sects and the great Dao realm elders who went to the grand competition. This news had spread, and many cultivators already knew about it. At this moment, when they saw Lin Tian, they were naturally afraid. All of them avoided Lin Tian as if he was the god of death. Brat Lin, no matter where you go, you really make people afraid. You're like a demon leader, Whooshing Crocodile said. Lin Tian ignored it. His mind was thinking about the blood-soaked figure and the pair of huge eyes as he walked forward. As for the reactions of the cultivators here, he naturally guessed that it was related to the matter of him killing the strongest young experts of the 5 great immortal sects and the great Dao realm elders of the 5 great immortal sects 2 months ago on the 5 immortal peaks. He did not care about this and continued to walk away with Whooshing Crocodile. When they were far away, the cultivators around the main road finally heaved a sigh of relief. It's really that man. 2 months ago, he destroyed the grand competition of the younger generation of the 5 great immortal sects, including the Coiling Dragon Sacred Sect. He killed the strongest young experts of the 5 great immortal sects and the 5 great Dao realm elders who went to the grand competition. He's a ferocious man. That's not all. It's said that before that, the Saint Princes of the Dark Heartsword Sect, Ink Feather Origin Hall, and Blood Rainbow Immortal Sect, which are slightly weaker than the 5 great immortal sects, were also killed by this man. The 9 great Dao realm elders of these 3 sects joined forces to kill this man, but they were no match for him. In the end, they were all killed. What? There's such a thing? Of course there is. It's true. He looks like a young man in his 20s. How can he be so terrifying? Many cultivators discussed in shock. The 5 great immortal sects have been chasing after him for the past 2 months, especially the Coiling Dragon Sacred Sect. Almost all of the outstanding young disciples of the Coiling Dragon Sacred Sect were killed, and they suffered heavy losses. It's said that an 8th Heavenly Dao realm expert jumped out, but unfortunately, they couldn't find this person. Now that he has appeared, the 5 great immortal sects will probably kill him soon. Someone murmured, "Don't forget, there is still the Dark Heartsword Sect and the other 2 sects." The cultivator who mentioned that Lin Tian had killed the holy sons of the Dark Heartsword Sect, the Ink Feather Yuan Hall, and the Blood Rainbow Immortal Sect said, "These 3 sects have also sent experts to hunt him down, but there has been no result. Now that he has appeared, he will probably kill his way over soon." Hearing this, the crowd of cultivators trembled slightly. Many of them looked in the direction Lin Tian had left, and they couldn't help but feel a chill run down their spines. He was just one person, but he had to face the merciless pursuit of 8 sects at the same time. Chapter 948. Dozens of figures rushed over from afar. Every single one of them had dense waves of the great Tao intertwined around their bodies. In almost an instant, they had arrived before Lin Tian and surrounded him. Every single one of them had bone-piercing killing intent on their faces. Lin Tianan stared coldly at these people. Just from their auras, he could feel that these people belonged to the coiling dragon holy gate and the other 4 great sections. Move aside, don't block the way. He appeared very calm. He knew why these people were here, but he couldn't care less about them. There were a total of 21 people surrounding him, and each of them was a powerful existence in the great Tao realm. Among them, there were 5 people from the coiling dragon holy gate, 4 from the myriad divine cult, 4 from the profound wind flame island, 4 from the green mark immortal pavilion, and 4 from the hexo-mortal sect. These people had rushed over to surround Lin Tiantan, and they were already filled with killing intent. When they saw how calm Lin Tianan was when they charged over, and he even said, "Move aside, don't block the way to them," their killing intent intensified. They clenched their fists, and it was as if they wanted to eat Lin Tiantan alive. "Beast!" One of the coiling dragon holy gate's great Tao realm experts roared. His cultivation was at the 5th heavenly Tao realm, and he directly made his move. Like a torrent of destruction, he appeared in front of Lin Tian in the blink of an eye, and a dragon claw made a grab at Lin Tian's head. This kind of speed was shocking, and ordinary people wouldn't be able to react in time. But to Lin Tian, it was nothing. He merely raised his hand and grabbed the person's wrist. The coiling dragon holy gate's expert was shocked and angered at the same time. "Little beast, you bang!" Lin Tian was expressionless as he calmly raised his leg and kicked the person's abdomen, sending him flying more than 100 zhang away. Seeing this scene, the other 20 people's faces turned serious. However, in the next moment, the killing intent on their bodies became even denser. Almost at the same time, the great Tao realm expert from the coiling dragon holy gate, who was sent flying, burst out with even more shocking divine might, and he rushed back from 100 zhang away. "Damn thing!" Staring at Lin Tian, the man clenched his fists, his face livid. He was in the 5th heaven of the great Tao, but just now he had been sent flying by Lin Tian with a single kick. This caused a sliver of humiliation to rise up in his fury, and his gaze became incredibly vicious. Lin Tian tilted his head to look. With a wave of his hand, a beam of golden sword light appeared and sliced through the air. Pooh! The coiling dragon holy gate's disciple was pierced through the abdomen, and half of his body exploded into pieces. It was a ghastly sight. Ah! This person let out a great roar and quickly condensed a physical body. He immediately became even more shocked and angry, feeling even more humiliated. Beside him, the others were shocked. Before they had chased after him, they had already known that Lin Tian's battle strength was extremely strong, and he could kill great Tao realm experts. However, seeing the coiling dragon holy gate's disciple suffer defeat twice in a row by Lin Tian, they couldn't help but feel shocked. After all, the coiling dragon holy gate's disciple was in the 5th heaven of the great Tao realm. He was much stronger than the 5 great Tao realm experts who had gone to the 5 immortal peaks to participate in the youth competition. However, the shock on these people's faces only lasted for an instant. In the next moment, killing intent surged from their bodies once again. Another expert from the coiling dragon holy gate walked out. It was an old man in embroidered robes. His face was full of wrinkles, but the blood chi he exuded was terrifying. "Bastard, you will die today." This person was in the 6th heaven of the great Tao realm, and his killing intent surged, shaking the void. Moreover, the other people's killing intent was also extremely strong and piercing. More than 10 waves of divine might surged out in an instant, creating violent hurricanes in this area. In the blink of an eye, a large part of the void collapsed. Lin Tian stood in the middle of these 20 people's encirclement. From beginning to end, his expression was calm, and there was no change in his expression. In the next moment, he shifted his gaze slightly, looking towards the southeast. Almost at the same time, more than 10 waves of divine might appeared from the southeast. 12 figures rushed over at high speed, and Tao law fluctuations intertwined around their bodies. When they arrived, they immediately fixed their eyes on Lin Tian. Every one of them was filled with shocking, killing intent. The 20 people from the 5 great immortal sects glanced at each other, and their murderous gazes landed on Lin Tian once again. Dark Heart Sword Sect, Ink Feather Origin Hall, Rainbow Blood Immortal Sect. Brat Lin, including the 21 people from the 5 great immortal sects, there are a total of 33 great Tao realm experts coming to kill you. TSK, this lineup is not small. Wuxing Crocodile said. Lin Tian appeared very calm. In the face of 33 great Tao realm cultivators, there was still no change in his expression. Looking at these 33 people, he said indifferently, I'll say it one more time. All of you, get out of my way. Don't block my way. His voice was still calm and not loud, but it made the 33 people's expressions turn even colder, and their killing intent soared. Arrogant thief. No need to talk nonsense with him. Just attack and kill him. Kill. Crush him to death. We can't kill him easily. We have to extract his soul and torture him. Dozens of people's expressions were vicious. Boom! In the blink of an eye, dozens of people attacked together, slashing out rays of killing light. It was terrifying, especially the coiling dragon Holy Gate's 5th firmament, great Tao realm expert who attacked Lin Tian. The killing light around his body was the most intense. He directly propped up a destructive divine power, pressing down on Lin Tian with the momentum to annihilate all things. Clearly, he wanted to kill Lin Tian as quickly as possible. For a moment, violent auras intertwined, shaking all directions. Crack, crack, crack. Crisp sounds rang out. Faced with the prowess of 33 great Tao realm experts attacking together, the void space here couldn't withstand it and directly collapsed. Cracks extended out in all directions like spiderwebs, and the scene was exceptionally terrifying. Lin Tian was in the middle of it all. Facing such violent killing intent, his expression remained calm, and there was no change in his expression. He didn't say anything. Raising his hand, he casually slashed out a golden sword light. In an instant, along with a series of crackling noises, the 30 or so great Tao cultivators' attacks were all crushed to pieces. How is this possible? Dozens of people's expressions changed. The coiling dragon Holy Gate's 5th firmament, great Tao realm expert, gritted his teeth and shouted, Everyone, use more strength. He's only one person. He glared at Lin Tian, and his killing intent surged. He propped up an even more powerful divine power, and his gaze was incomparably vicious. No matter how strong he is, it's impossible for him to stop so many of us. His ending can only be clang. A sword chime resounded, and it was extremely ear-piercing. It directly suppressed this person's words. Lin Tian's expression was indifferent. With a wave of his hand, a resplendent sword light slashed out. As if it had transcended space, it arrived in front of the coiling dragon, Holy Gate's 5th firmament, great Tao realm expert, and slashed down. The coiling dragon, Holy Gate's 5th firmament, great Tao realm expert, immediately felt a great threat. His expression changed, and he quickly retreated. However, the golden sword light was too fast. Moreover, it had sealed off the surroundings. There was no way for him to escape. No! Stop! Puff! A mist of blood exploded, and the 5th firmament great Tao realm expert from the coiling dragon Holy Gate was crushed into pieces. Even his soul was destroyed. In an instant, the other 32 people's expressions changed. At this moment, Lin Tian had actually killed one of them so easily in the encirclement of several dozen of them. Such battle prowess made them involuntarily tremble. I'll give you one last chance. Get out of the way and don't block my path. Don't make a move against me, or I won't mind killing all of you. Lin Tian spoke at this time. His face was expressionless. As soon as he finished speaking, he took a step forward, preparing to leave this place and continue cultivating. The 32 great Dao realm experts stared at Lin Tian. There was a trace of fear in their eyes, but the killing intent in their eyes grew stronger. Do you really think you're invincible? An 8th firmament great Dao realm expert from the coiling dragon Holy Gate snorted. He raised a high-grade Dao weapon, and his killing intent was intimidating. Everyone, let's attack together. If we don't kill him today, what will happen to our sex face? He must die. The other 3 great Dao realm experts from the coiling dragon Holy Gate shouted. As soon as they finished speaking, they charged towards Lin Tiansha. The other great Dao realm experts were filled with killing intent. In a split second of hesitation, some of them charged out. Kill! A person from the Sinluo divine sect let out a low roar. He raised a high-grade Dao weapon and used it to unleash an extremely violent killing divine ability. Then, the others followed one after another, and each of them displayed powerful secret arts. Boom! In the blink of an eye, dense killing intent enveloped the surroundings, shattering pieces of space. This kind of power was somewhat terrifying, causing the birds and beasts in the nearby mountains and forests to tremble in fear. At the same time, some of the cultivators far away also sensed this fluctuation, and all of them were shocked. This is far away. What's happening? It seems like someone is fighting. What powerful fluctuations. There seems to be the aura of great Dao intertwining. And there's more than one. Let's go and take a look. Let's go. Soon, some people rushed towards Lin Tian's location. Not long after, some cultivators rushed to Lin Tian's location. When they saw the scene of dozens of great Dao realm experts from the 8 great sects surrounding Lin Tian, they were shocked. It's that person. 2 months ago, the person who killed the strongest experts of the younger generation from the 5 great sections. The people around him, these people, they seem to be. They are the experts from the Coiling Dragon Holy Gate, Azura Divine Cult, Green Mark Immortal Pavilion, Enigmatic Wind Flame Island, and Jiao Immortal Sect. Also, Ink Feather Origin Hall, Blood Blast Immortal Sect, and Dark Heartsword Sect. There are also experts here. More than 30 people. All of them are in the Great Dao realm. The cultivators who rushed to the scene were shocked. Boom! Divine arts surged in front of them, and endless killing intent filled the air. More than 30 great Dao realm experts attacked together, and the power was extremely terrifying. Pieces of the void collapsed, and pieces of the ground were shattered. Lin Tian was in the middle of it all, and he appeared very calm. With just a casual step, those dense killing intent couldn't get close to him. Azura Great Plate, Coiling Dragon Ultimate Kill, Immortal Slaying Divine Tower. Chapter 949. The 3 cultivators of the 6th firmament of the Great Path all charged towards Lin Tian and unleashed their strongest divine techniques and precepts of the Great Path. Their might was truly astonishing. In the blink of an eye, they interweaved into a destructive sea of divine light that enveloped all directions. Crack! 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 Immediately, the void collapsed. The terrifying power made the crowd of cultivators who had just rushed over from afar palpitate. Lin Tian stood in the middle of this destructive divine light, but there was no change in his emotions. His face was expressionless. I've given you chances time and time again. Unfortunately, you insist on courting death. His voice was indifferent. As soon as he finished speaking, his right hand shook. Golden divine light spread out and shattered the destructive divine light in front of him. Then he attacked again. With a wave of his hand, 3 towering sword lights pierced through the air with the power to slay immortals. They mercilessly fell on the 3 people who had rushed towards him. Instantly, the 3 great Dao cultivators' expressions changed. At the same time, they felt the threat of death. Their backs instantly turned cold, and they quickly retreated. However, the 3 towering sword lights that Lin Tian slashed out were too fast. In the blink of an eye, they fell on the 3 people. Puff! 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 The three mists of blood directly exploded. These three people were unable to block or evade. They were instantly pulverized by the three streaks of sword light. Even their spirits cracked and shattered in the air. They were completely annihilated. Those were 3/6 heavens of the great Tao cultivators. They were actually killed in an instant. How is this possible? Not far away, the crowd of cultivators was aghast. The 3/6 heavens of the great Tao cultivators were all killed in an instant. The rest of the people from the coiling dragon holy gate and the other forces who had chased here were also shocked. Once again, they were shocked by Lin Tian's tyrannical combat strength. With a raise of his hand, he shattered the divine arts and laws of the 3/6 heavens of the great Tao cultivators. Then, he easily buried all three of them. This kind of combat strength shocked everyone. Even the 8th heavens of the great Tao cultivator from the coiling dragon holy gate was no exception. For a moment, these people only felt a chill run down their spines. The dense killing lights that were attacking Lin Tian couldn't help but stagnate. Clang! An ear-piercing sword whistle resounded in all directions. At that moment, Lin Tian took the initiative to move. Streaks of golden sword light appeared around his body. Every one of them was intertwined with a terrifying power. It was as if they could cut down the stars in the universe. Since you want to die so much, I'll fulfill your wishes. There was no expression on his face. With a thought, a large amount of sword light spread out in all directions with him as the center. So. The sword light that he slashed out cut through the space at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped the remaining dozens of people. For a moment, the sharp sword intent was vast and mighty, causing these people from the 8 major forces to be shocked. Everyone roared and supported their powerful divine abilities and secret techniques to protect themselves. At the same time, they used various footwork to quickly dodge these sword lights. However, the towering sword light that Lin Tian slashed out with the 9 heavens of the Great Tao was not something that ordinary divine abilities and secret techniques could block. How could it be so easy to dodge? In just the blink of an eye, the divine abilities and secret techniques that the group of people supported were all crushed. Most of them were sent flying. Among them, 8 people even exploded on the spot, their bodies and souls shattering together. Such a scene could be said to be somewhat terrifying. It caused all the spectators in the distance to tremble and tremble. This is just a casual slash of sword light, but it actually destroyed everyone's divine abilities and secret techniques. With just one strike, he killed another 8 great Tao cultivators. Everyone was shocked. Someone stared at Lin Tian. His eyes couldn't help but twitch violently. Even his lips were trembling. With a trembling voice, he said, how terrifying is he? He looks like a young man in his 20s. He doesn't look like some old antique. How can he have such battle prowess? At this time, looking at Lin Tian, all the cultivators present were stunned. Many of them felt their hearts turn cold, and they couldn't help but tremble violently. The survivors from the coiling dragon holy gate and the other forces were shocked and furious. In just an instant, all 8 of them had lost a great Tao realm expert. D*MN beast. D*M in it. D*M in it. D*M in it. Combine our strength. Don't split up. Combine our strength and kill him. We must kill him. If we don't kill him, where will our sex face go? Everyone roared, kill. The 8th heavens of the great Tao realm expert from the coiling dragon holy gate charged at the forefront. Kill. Originally, there were 33 people chasing after Huang Xiaolong. However, in just a short while, there were only 21 people left. Their respective forces had suffered great losses, and these 21 people were incomparably furious. At this time, these 20-plus people roared in unison. Divine abilities, secret arts, and grand Taos pressed down on Lin Tian as if they didn't care about the cost. The killing intent was terrifying. With a crack, the void shattered, and the ground sank by 3 feet. Cracks spread rapidly in all directions. Lin Tian's expression was indifferent. He raised his right hand slightly and pressed down gently. Chi! A crisp sound rang out as all the divine abilities, secret arts, and great Tao laws that were pressing down on him were all shattered. In an instant, everyone's expression changed again. How is this possible? Dozens of experts were shocked. They had activated their divine abilities in grand Taos, and the combined power could easily kill an eighth heavens of the great Tao realm expert. However, in front of Lin Tian, they were so weak. Lin Tian's expression was indifferent. His raised right hand trembled, and a large expanse of golden light appeared, turning into rays of sword light that swept out in all directions. In an instant, 3 of the remaining 21 experts suffered. They were directly crushed by the sword light. Their physical bodies and spiritual souls dissipated together, completely vanishing. I gave you a chance to live, but you refused it and insisted on stepping on the road to death. Then, don't blame me for being ruthless. His voice was indifferent. Golden light intertwined beside him. He just stood quietly in place, sweeping his gaze over the last 18 people from the 8 major forces. At this time, the 18 people who survived were all experts. The lowest cultivation was at the peak of the 5th heavens of the great Tao realm. Their combined power was very strong, but he didn't take them seriously at all. It should be known that he was now at the 9th heavens of the great Tao realm. His life origin, grand Taos, and spiritual soul had all been enhanced by leaps and bounds. Even if a cultivator at the early stage of Wuzhen came, he could kill him effortlessly. These people were really weak in his eyes. Clang! The sound of swords clanged. Beside him, rays of golden sword aura appeared, and each sword was intertwined with unparalleled killing power. Little brother! Little brother! Suddenly, an urgent and aged voice rang out. An old man staggered out from the crowd. His cultivation wasn't bad, and he quickly ran toward Lin Tian. Lin Tian tilted his head to look. He was slightly moved, and the golden light around him slowly disappeared. It's you. He looked at the old man who ran over and was slightly surprised. He remembered that this old man was an old servant of the Yi family. When he sent Yitong back, he saw this old man once. The other party seemed to be surnamed Hu. At that time, he heard Yitong call this old man Uncle Hu. On the side, the whooshing crocodile also looked at this old servant surnamed Hu with a strange expression. He didn't understand why the other party ran here. Old servant Hu ran over from afar. His face was much older than 2 months ago. In the blink of an eye, he rushed in front of Lin Tian and tightly grabbed Lin Tian's sleeve, like a drowning person grabbing onto a life-saving straw. Little brother, I finally found you. I couldn't find anyone to help me. I beg you, quickly go and save the young master. Save the young master. Lin Tian knew that the young master, that old servant who was talking about, was Yitong. His face suddenly changed. What happened to Yitong? He asked. The whooshing crocodile also couldn't help but ask, what happened to that little brat? Old servant who grabbed Lin Tian's sleeve, his old body couldn't help but tremble. 2 months ago, not long after you sent the young master back, Lord Yiqing and Lord Qinlin were suddenly killed outside. After that, in the Yi family, the young master, old servant who trembled even more, and tears flowed down his face. The young master's eyes were dug out by someone. Now, almost, Lin Tiandao's body shook, and so did the whooshing crocodiles. At the same time, their faces changed greatly. What did you say? The whooshing crocodile shouted. Lin Tian grabbed old servant Hu's collar. At this time, he didn't have the time to think about how disrespectful his action was to the old servant. Only coldness filled his face. Tell me clearly what happened. He had just accepted the number 1 disciple, who possessed the sun god's divine eye. Now, his eyes were dug out. Good chance. Suddenly, a loud shout rang out. The coiling dragon Holy Gate's 8th heavenly layer Grand Tao realm experts rushed out. Kill! The others roared. At this time, they noticed that Lin Tian was completely distracted. Together, they brought out their strongest battle strength. For a moment, The 18 immortal divine abilities and the Grand Tao laws truly fused together, transforming into a destructive torrent that pressed down. It caused the large space to collapse from a great distance, causing the cultivators in the distance to tremble and be greatly shocked. Some of the weaker cultivators were even affected by this violent divine might and were directly blasted more than 1,000 feet away. Die. Being distracted in battle can take your life at any time. Little bastard, let's see how arrogant you can be. The 18 people's gazes were vicious. At this time, the 18 of them had completely merged their killing divine arts and Grand Tao laws. The power that erupted was enough to kill a 9th heavenly layer Grand Tao realm expert in an instant. At this moment, they merged together and pushed the unparalleled killing power that came from the fusion towards Lin Tian. Killing light enveloped the space within 100 zhang. Scram! Lin Tian didn't even turn his head. The reincarnation diagram flew out, and like a bolt of lightning, it flew behind him and suppressed everything in an instant. Pooh! 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 Chapter 950. The bloody mist intertwined in the air. Everyone around was stunned and aghast. This 18 great Tao experts were actually defeated in one strike. Everyone stared at Lin Tian. At this moment, they all felt an indescribable fear. Some of them could not help but tremble. Even old servant who was stunned. His expression froze. He never expected Lin Tian to be so terrifying. Only Lin Tian himself had a gloomy expression. He stared at old servant who in front of him and said coldly, "Tell me what happened. Who dug out Yitong's eyes?" The number one disciple he had just accepted not long ago actually had her son God eyes dug out. One could imagine how angry he was. Old servant who came back to his senses. His aged body trembled again. Li Wanfu must be Li Wanfu. Lord Yi Qing and Lord Qin Lin were just killed, and she invited her senior brother. Her senior brother is the leader of a large sect. Previously, he came to the Yi family and young master. At this point, old servant who could not continue. His body trembled even more violently. Tears streamed down his face, and the hatred in his eyes became even more intense. Lin Tian had been to the Yi family once. He knew who Li Wanfu was. She was the wife of this generation's head of the Yi family. He had seen her before. Back then, she had even mocked him and whooshing crocodile. Now that he heard this person again, his eyes were filled with coldness. It's that ugly woman. Whooshing crocodile's eyes were filled with killing intent. Old servant who trembled and grabbed Lin Tian tightly. Hurry up and save young master. Young master can't hold on much longer. Lin Tian's face was gloomy. Golden divine light surged around his body and enveloped old servant who. He instantly disappeared from his spot. Like a golden bolt of lightning, he rushed in the direction of the Yi family and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Such speed shocked all the surrounding cultivators. Everyone could not help but tremble violently. Whooshing crocodile's expression was not good either. With a flap of its 5-colored wings, it turned into a 5-colored bolt of lightning and flew away in an instant. In the blink of an eye, only the crowd of spectating cultivators who had rushed over from afar remained. They stared in the direction in which Lin Tian left, then stared in the direction in which whooshing crocodile flapped its wings and left. One by one, they trembled, unable to hold back their shock. That crocodile demon beside him is actually so powerful. That speed. Some people were horrified. Lin Tian took old servant Hu and left at an extremely fast speed. The scenery on both sides flew backwards rapidly, as if time and space were disturbed. Whooshing crocodile flapped its multicolored wings. It was not slow and steadily followed behind. In the blink of an eye, several hours passed. A huge mansion appeared in front of them. As far as the eye could see, there were many pavilions and large pavilions in the mansion. Extraordinary spiritual energy interweaved within them. The plaque in front of the main entrance was engraved with a large Yi character. At this moment, the main entrance of the Yi family was tightly shut. It was very quiet inside the Yi family. There were more than 10 people guarding the main entrance. Lin Tian appeared outside the Yi family with old servant Hu. His expression was gloomy as he walked directly into the Yi family. "Who is it? Stop right there." Outside the main entrance, more than 10 people stepped forward and frowned to stop him. Lin Tian's footsteps did not change. A huge force spread out and sent the 10 people who came forward flying with a bang. Then, the main entrance of the Yi family could not withstand this force and directly collapsed. Even the Yi family mansion on both sides of the main entrance collapsed. For a moment, all the cultivators in the Yi family were shocked. Many people rushed out. "What's going on? What happened?" Someone shouted. Then, in the next moment, the group of Yi family disciples who rushed out stared ahead and saw Lin Tian. Among them, some of the Yi family disciples saw Lin Tian send Yi Tong back to the clan more than 2 months ago. When they saw him again, they could not help but be stunned. "It's him!" Some of the Yi family disciples who knew Lin Tian trembled and immediately froze on the spot. At this moment, how could they not know why Lin Tian was here? It was because many people in the Yi family already knew that Yi Tong's eyes had been dug out. Of course, there were also many Yi family disciples who did not know Lin Tian. At this moment, they all rushed forward. However, they soon saw old servant Hu behind Lin Tian and could not help but stop in their tracks. A slightly stronger Yi family disciple stared at old servant Hu and shouted, "Hu Luo, why are you with him? What's going on?" At this moment, old servant Hu was only worried about Yi Tong. His face was full of anxiety, and he did not have the time to care about these Yi family disciples. He pointed aloft in the Yi family and said anxiously to Lin Tiandao, "Young master is in that loft over there. Quick, let's hurry over. Young master's eyes have been dug out. Young master's breathing is getting worse and worse. He's about to die." Lin Tian's face was gloomy. He immediately walked in the direction old servant Hu pointed. Whooshing crocodile followed beside him and flapped its wings to catch up. The Yi family's main entrance had been destroyed. Originally, the disciples of the Yi family had cold expressions on their faces. However, when they heard old servant Hu's words, they could vaguely tell that Lin Tian was related to Yi Tong. They seemed to have come because of Yi Tong's eyes being dug out. Their eyes flickered, and they did not do anything else for a while. This was because even though Yi Tong was the young master of the Yi family, she was very polite and respectful to everyone. She was very well liked by the ordinary Yi family disciples. At this time, when they heard about Yi Tong, these ordinary Yi family disciples naturally froze. Lin Tian did not stop them. Under old servant Hu's lead, they quickly arrived in front of one of the Yi family's lofts. They directly opened the door and walked in. Young master, old servant has found your master and is here to save you. You will be fine." Old servant Hu quickly rushed to the side of a jade bed in the loft. His aged body trembled and tears flowed down his face. Master, a weak voice came from the bed. Lin Tianyi strode to the side of the jade bed. He saw little Yi Tong curled up into a ball on the jade bed. Her originally chubby body had lost a lot of weight. At this moment, she was shivering on the bed. Her small face was pale, and her eyes were wrapped in a layer of white gauze. He could vaguely see traces of blood. She looked sickly, as if she would die at any moment. Instantly, his powerful Dao body could not help but violently tremble. 2 months ago, the little girl was still mischievous and cute. She was chubby, and her big eyes were bright. But now, she was curled up in the corner of the bed miserably. Whooshing crocodile naturally saw all of this. Its expression immediately became very ugly. Damn it! It could not help but angrily shout. On the jade bed, little Yi Tong heard the familiar voice of Whooshing crocodile. Her already thin body trembled violently. Uncle Crocodile, Uncle Crocodile. The little girl trembled. Her childish voice was weak. She tried to stand up and called out, Master. The little girl was very cute. She knew how to respect people and was also very smart. When she heard the familiar voice of Whooshing Crocodile, she knew that Whooshing Crocodile was here. She also knew that Lin Tian must be here too. Lin Tian quickly reached out and supported the little girl's trembling body. Strands of golden divine light gushed out and enveloped the little girl. "Master is here." When little Yi Tong heard Lin Tian's voice, she trembled even more violently. Her little hand grabbed the air. After a few breaths, she finally grabbed onto Lin Tian's sleeve. She was like a child who had been away from home for a long time and finally saw her only family. Her voice was choked with sobs. "Master, father and mother are both gone." The little girl was crying, but because her eyes had been dug out, blood flowed out of her pupils. Instantly, the white gauze wrapped around her eyes was dyed red. "I can't see." The little girl's face was pale. She looked pitiful. Her small hand, which had lost a lot of weight, clutched Lin Tian tightly. She could not stop trembling. Lin Tiandao's body trembled slightly. His nose was a little sore. His first disciple, his only disciple, was still healthy 2 months ago. She was shouting that she would go out and find him when her cultivation was strong. But now, she was in such a pitiful state. The golden divine light on his body became even more intense. He directly activated the nirvana of the sun to nourish the little girl's body. "Don't be afraid. Master is here." He activated the nirvana of the sun and used the light of this divine technique to envelop the little girl. He tried his best to comfort the little girl with a gentle voice. "Master will take back what belongs to you in one piece." Beside him, old servant who clenched his hands and said hatefully, after Lord Yi Qing and Lord Qin Lin were killed, Li Wanfu's senior brother came. Her senior brother is the leader of a large sect. Because little young master accidentally bumped into him, he dug out little young master's eyes. Now, one of little young master's divine eyes was connected to Li Wanfu's son, Yi Huaxing. The other eye was brought back to the sector senior brother was in. Speaking up to hear, old servant who trembled. Looking at the incomparably weak little Yi Tong, tears flowed continuously. Little young master, little young master. He was a servant of the Yi family. But normally, little Yi Tong, as the little young master of the Yi family, had a revered status. She was very respectful to him and called him Uncle Hu. Now little Yi Tong was treated like this. How could he not hate her? Damn, it can't be wrong. It's definitely that bitch Li Wanfu who planned all of this. The little guy's parents must have also been killed by her outside. She wants to steal the little guy's divine eyes. Wuxing Crocodile was furious and full of killing intent. That bitch! Lin Tian's face was gloomy. He used the golden divine light to envelop little Yi Tong and stop the blood from flowing out of her eyes. At the same time, he continuously nourished her body. He picked up the little girl from the bed. "You carry her," he said to Wuxing Crocodile. Wuxing Crocodile once said that carrying people would damage its dignity. Back then, it was not even willing to carry Lin Tian because of the side effects of consuming the forbidden baodan. But this time, it did not refuse. Its demonic body directly expanded a little. It personally used gentle demonic power to receive little Yi Tong onto its back. "Little Yi Tong, hold on tight." As it spoke, it also used its demonic power to stabilize little Yi Tong. Now, since the little guy called it Uncle Crocodile, it naturally had to protect the little guy. Lin Tian looked lovingly at little Yi Tong on Wuxing Crocodile's back. Then, he turned around and walked out with a gloomy face. In an instant, a cold, killing intent enveloped the entire Yi family. Chapter 951. Lin Tian walked out of the pavilion. His killing intent was shocking. With every step he took, the pavilions of the Yi family would shake violently, and cracks would appear. The disciples of the Yi family were all shocked, and many of them couldn't help but tremble. Lin Tian's face was gloomy. He used his powerful divine sense to scan the area. He already knew where Li Wanfu and her young son Yi Huaxing were, so he didn't need anyone to lead the way. Soon, under the trembling eyes of the disciples of the Yi family, he arrived in front of a large courtyard in the depths of the Yi family. With his powerful divine sense, he found that Li Wanfu and her young son Yi Huaxing were in this courtyard. "Who are you?" In front of the courtyard, dozens of outstanding disciples of the Yi family were seriously guarding. Every one of them had powerful cultivation. When they saw someone coming, they immediately stepped forward. Their expressions were cold, and the long spears in their hands flickered with cold light. Lin Tian didn't say a word, and his footsteps didn't stop at all. A powerful force surged forward like a hurricane. Bang! 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 The dozens of disciples of the Yi family who were guarding outside the courtyard all vomited blood and were sent flying. They all screamed and couldn't get up for a long time. Lin Tian stepped forward. The main entrance of the courtyard was immediately shattered by the majestic aura around his body. The walls on both sides also collapsed and sand and dust filled the air. He stepped into the courtyard and immediately saw a beautiful middle-aged woman and a 12-year-old boy. It was Li Wanfu and her young son Yi Huaxing. He had seen them before. At the same time, there was a middle-aged man with extraordinary cultivation and vitality. It was obvious that he was Li Wanfu's husband, the current head of the Yi family. "It's you." Li Wanfu saw Lin Tian, and then quickly saw the whooshing crocodile carrying little Yi Tong behind Lin Tian. She was slightly moved. Beside her, the 12-year-old Yi Huaxing wore a purple robe. His expression was cold as he looked at little Yi Tong on the whooshing crocodile's back. The corners of his mouth curled up in a sneer and ridicule. His right eye was crystal clear, clearly different from his left eye. Vicious woman. Behind Lin Tian, when old servant who saw Li Wanfu, a look of hatred appeared on his face as he clenched his fists tightly. Li Wanfu's face immediately turned cold. She stared at old Hu and said, "Dog slave, how dare you? How dare you call me that?" At the same time, the head of the Yi family stepped forward with a cold expression. He stared at old servant Hu and said, "Hu Luo, you are too presumptuous. Who do you think you are? How dare you call Wanfu that?" As he spoke, he shifted his gaze and saw Yi Tong on the back of the whooshing crocodile. Then his gaze landed on Lin Tian, who was at the front of the group. Also, who are these two people? Did you bring them into the Yi family? Why did you bring Yi Tong out of the attic? What do you want to do? Bang! Lin Tian's face was gloomy. A violent force radiated from his body and landed on the patriarch of the Yi clan, directly interrupting what he was about to say. With a bang, the patriarch of the Yi clan was knocked dozens of meters away, leaving behind a trail of blood and a miserable cry. 12-year-old Yi Huaxing was shocked. "Father," Li Wanfu's expression changed when she saw her husband being sent flying by Lin Tian. As the head of the Yi family, her husband's cultivation was at the half-step Great Dao realm, but now he was sent flying by Lin Tian so easily. This shocked her. However, in the next moment, her expression turned cold again. Although Lin Tian was powerful, this was the Yi family. In the Yi family, she had no reason to fear Lin Tian. She stared at Lin Tian and said coldly, "You are so big." Slap. A loud slap sounded. Lin Tian made his move and sent Li Wanfu flying through the air. Her teeth mixed with blood fell out. "Mother!" Yi Huaxing shouted again. Lin Tian's face darkened as he stared at Yi Tong's right eye. That eye clearly belonged to Yi Tong's sun eye. It was Yi Tong's god's eye, his disciple's eye. But now, it had been dug out and attached to someone else's body. He stared at Yi Tong and stepped forward to take back the god's eye that belonged to Yi Tong. Whoosh! 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 Suddenly, there was the sound of something breaking through the air. 9 slightly old figures appeared in the courtyard and blocked Lin Tian's path. Shockingly, these 9 people were the supreme elders of the Yi clan of this generation. All of their cultivations were at the Grand Dao realm, and they obviously resided at the side of this courtyard. At this moment, these 9 people blocked Lin Tian's path. When they saw the whooshing crocodile carrying the blind little Yi Tong behind Lin Tian and old servant Hu, they couldn't help but frown. One of them looked at old servant Hu, frowned, and asked in a deep voice, "Hu Luo, you brought them here? What's going on?" Old servant Hu clasped his hands. "This is little young master's master." As he spoke, old servant Hu looked at Li Wanfu, who was sent flying by Lin Tian, with a face full of hatred. "Little young master's gods has been taken away. We can't just let it go. Although it was her senior brother who did it, it must have something to do with her. It must be her fault. We must seek justice for little young master. The 9 Grand Supreme Elders of the Yi family were all moved. They all looked at Lin Tian. Previously, they had heard that Yi Tong had a master, but they had never seen him with their own eyes. Now that they saw him, they were slightly shocked. They all knew why Lin Tian was here. For a moment, the 9 people frowned even more, but then they all shook their heads and sighed. Little Tong offended the True Moon Celestial Sect's headmaster and caused his eyes to be gouged out. We're also heartbroken, but there's nothing we can do. The True Moon Celestial Sect is too powerful. It's not something our Yi family can afford to offend. Little Tong is too careless. One of them spoke. He looked at Li Wanfu and Yi Huaxing and said, "This has nothing to do with Wanfu." Moreover, it was thanks to Wanfu that the True Moon Celestial Sect's headmaster left the God's eye to our Yi family. This was all because of his junior sister Wanfu. Otherwise, our Yi family wouldn't even be able to keep a single God's eye. We might even be in trouble. Wuxing Crocodile heard this and immediately laughed angrily. He coldly said, "His True Moon Celestial Sect's headmaster's junior sister is married to your Yi family. It could be considered a bit close to your Yi family. Why would he gouge out little Tot's eyes just because he accidentally bumped into him? You old bastards, have you lived for so many years in vain? Can't you figure out such a suspicious thing?" The 9 people of the Yi family heard Wuxing Crocodile call them old things. Their faces sank, but then they sighed again. You don't know this, but the True Moon Celestial Sect's headmaster is very powerful. He's not any weaker than the masters of the top forces in this heaven domain. However, his personality is very strange, and he doesn't care about reason. He only cares about his junior sister. Although his junior sister is married to our Yi family isn't worthy of his attention at all. One of the 9 people shook his head helplessly. The others couldn't help but clench their fists. Clearly, they were very dissatisfied with the True Moon Celestial Sect's headmaster and even hated him. Even so, they couldn't do anything because the True Moon Celestial Sect was too powerful. The Yi family couldn't afford to offend them. After this person finished speaking, the 9 great elders of the Yi family no longer cared about Wuxing Crocodile. The leading great elder looked at Lin Tiandao and said, "Since you came for Little Tong, then we won't pursue the matter of hurting our Yi family's disciples and destroying our Yi family's pavilion. Put Little Tong down and go back to where you came from." "No," a sharp voice sounded. In the distance, Li Wanfu, who was slapped away by Lin Tiandao, stood up. There was a clear handprint on her face. She stared viciously at Lin Tiandao and said, "He dared to slap me. We can't let him go. Kill him, and that crocodile demon and Hu Luo's dog slave. Kill them all. Don't leave anyone alive." The 9 members of the Yi clan looked troubled. Among them, the Taishang elder looked at Li Wanfu and said, "Wanfu, let's forget about this. After all, he's Little Tong's teacher. He came for Little Tong. Now, our Yi clan hasn't suffered any major losses, and you aren't injured either. Let him go. As for Hu Luo, I'll expel him from the Yi clan." "Impossible." Li Wanfu stared viciously at Lin Tiandao and the others and said in a sharp voice, "We must kill them. 9 great elders. He broke into our Yi family, destroyed our Yi family's pavilion, injured our disciples, injured my father, and even injured my mother. If we let him go like this, what will happen to our Yi family's reputation?" Yi Huaxing spoke at this time. He was only 12 years old, but he had a precocious aura. He stared coldly at Lin Tiandao. His right eye flashed with divine light. The 9 grand elders of the Yi clan furrowed their brows even more deeply, and the difficult expression on their faces became even more intense. "Why aren't you attacking?" Seeing that the 9 great elders of the Yi family didn't attack Lin Tiandao directly, Li Wanfu screamed even louder, "Don't forget that Yi Tong offended my senior brother. If I wasn't in the Yi family, your Yi family would have been in trouble. There wouldn't be a single divine eye left in the family. Everyone would have been taken away. This is all because of me. Right now, I'm being bullied in the Yi family. If you let the culprit go, I'll immediately take Huashing back to the true Moon Immortal sect. If I don't return to the Yi family, your Yi family won't even be able to keep a single divine eye. The 9 great elders of the Yi family were all shocked. Yi Tong's divine eye had been dug out. The Yi family had already suffered a great loss. If Li Wanfu really took Yi Huashing away, then the Yi family would really lose a single divine eye. This loss was too great. It was the same as cutting off the hope of the Yi family in the future. They couldn't bear this loss. Moreover, if Li Wanfu really took Yi Huashing back to the true Moon Immortal sect, with her senior brother's strange personality, the Yi family might suffer because of this. In an instant, the 9 great elders of the Yi family's expressions all became ugly. They couldn't help but clench their fists. Li Wanfu stared at the 9 and screamed, "Why aren't you?" Slap. A loud slap sounded. Lin Tian made his move and slapped Li Wanfu away again. She rolled a few feet away and crashed into a stone pillar. She let out a shrill cry. Then, he made his move again. He pulled Li Wanfu in front of him and grabbed her by the neck. His expression was gloomy, and his eyes were as cold as swords. "Wanfu! Mother!" The head of the Yi family and Yi Huashing couldn't help but scream. At the same time, the 9 great elders of the Yi family also hurriedly said, "Little brother, please have mercy. Let her go. Let go of your mother." Wuxing Crocodile said coldly. Lin Tian grabbed Li Wanfu's neck. His tyrannical divine sense surged, and the yin-yang lotus sea appeared. It directly entered Li Wanfu's sea of consciousness. As she screamed, he forcefully pulled out the divine sense engravings. Instantly, the divine sense engravings appeared in the void and revealed a secret room. Li Wanfu and her son, Yi Huashing, were in the room. Voices came from the divine sense engravings. "Mother, Yi Tong really has the sun eye? Our ancestors' judgment was correct?" "It is true. I didn't expect that little bastard to have such a pair of divine eyes. Sun eye." In the divine sense engravings, the 12-year-old Yi Huashing clasped his hands together with an envious and jealous expression. His eyes were filled with longing. "If only I had the sun eye too. With my powerful talent and the sun eye, I will definitely be able to stand at the top of the heaven region and become an emperor. Billions of creatures will have to kneel before me." Chapter 952. Images appeared one after another, and voices could be heard from the images. Suddenly, the expressions of the 9 elders of the Yi family changed. The head of the Yi family also trembled, and his expression changed drastically. Clearly, he was unaware of this matter. "Wanfu, so it was you. You be asterisk H." The Wuxing Crocodile was furious. "Vicious woman." Old servant whose face was full of hatred, and his eyes were red. Li Wanfu's face turned pale. On the other side, the 12-year-old Li Huashing also trembled. "It's not like that. This is fake. It's fake. He's wrongly accusing me." "Ah!" Li Wanfu screamed, but in the next moment, she screamed again. Lin Tian's expression was gloomy, and he acted again. He used the yin-yang lotus sea to pull out more divine sense imprints from Li Wanfu's sea of consciousness and displayed them in the void. This time, the image showed a mountain, and Li Wanfu was standing with a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was wearing a golden robe and a purple crown. His gaze was somewhat sinister, and a voice could be heard from the image. "Junior sister, are you sure it's really the divine sun eye?" "Of course I'm sure. The ancestors of the Yi family used a special secret technique to investigate it. It's definitely the legendary divine sun eye. Senior brother, this is an immortal opportunity. If we can get the divine sun eye, our descendants will have a more glorious future." "Divine sun eye. Very good. Very good." "Senior brother, that little bastard's parents are not weak. If we want to get the divine sun eye, we have to make a good plan first." In the divine sense imprint, Li Wanfu's gaze was sinister. "Junior sister thinks that we have to get rid of that little bastard's parents first." "Of course. Didn't you say that the 2 of them would leave the family to handle some matters? At that time, I'll send them on their way." In the same divine sense imprint, the middle-aged man sneered. After that, you can invite me to the Yi family as a guest. At that time, I'll create a small accident and make that Yang kid offend me. Then, I'll have a reason to take his eyes. With the strength of the true moon sect and my cultivation, the little Yi family won't dare to say anything. After that, I'll leave a divine son to his Yi family and give it to nephew Washing. The Yi family will be grateful to you. Senior brother. A sinister voice came out from the divine sense engraving, mixed with a sneer and intertwined in every corner of the Yi clan courtyard. Suddenly, the air seemed to have frozen. Li Wanfu, the Yi family's grand elder's eyes widened in anger, and his Dao body began to tremble like a mad lion. Elder, senior brother, bitch! How could the Yi family marry such a sinister woman like you? The Yi family's grand elders were so angry that their eyes turned red. They originally thought that little Yi Tong had accidentally offended the True Moon sect leader and had her divine son gouged out. They thought that it was because of Li Wanfu that the Yi family managed to keep the divine son Therefore, they were grateful to Li Wanfu. But they didn't expect that this was all part of Li Wanfu's plan. She killed Yi Tong and Qin Lin, then cruelly took Yi Tong's divine son Yu. The 9 people stared at Li Wanfu with hatred. The Yi family's master trembled and stared at Li Wanfu. He couldn't say a word at this time. Little Yi Tong was on the back of the whooshing crocodile. Her eyes were gouged out, and she couldn't see anything, but she could hear. At this time, her small body also trembled, and she sobbed, "Auntie, how could you do this? Father and mother respected you so much. Yi Tong also respected you. Why did you kill father and mother?" The little girl cried. Her voice was very weak, and she was very sad. Fresh blood flowed out of her eyes and dyed the white bandage around her red. "You still call her Annie? You bitch!" The whooshing crocodile was furious. He suppressed his anger and released a gentle demonic power to cover the little girl. He stopped the bleeding and at the same time treated the little girl's weak body. "Sinister woman, you will die a horrible death. You will die a horrible death." Old servant who stared at Li Wanfu, and his eyes were about to pop out. He was a servant of the Yi family, but Yi Qing and Qin Lin never saw him as a servant. Little Yi Tong was also very respectful to him. Sometimes, he even felt that little Yi Tong was like his grandson. He loved little Yi Tong very much. Now that Li Wanfu plotted to kill Yi Tong and Qin Lin and gouged out Yi Tong's sun god's eye, he wanted to eat Li Wanfu alive. Li Wanfu's face turned pale. The truth had been exposed, and she couldn't help but tremble slightly. However, her expression soon turned ferocious again. She screamed, "Yes, I did it. So what?" She stared at Yi Tong with a cruel gaze. "Why does this little bastard have the legendary sun eye? Why? He doesn't deserve it. Only my son is worthy of this divine eye." The 9 elders of the Yi family became even more furious. They were so angry that their bodies started to tremble. Lin Tian's face was gloomy. Choking Li Wanfu's neck, he directly raised his hand and punched her in the stomach. "Pooh! Ah!" Li Wanfu let out a shrill scream. Her stomach was directly punched through by Lin Tian's fist. Blood flowed out uncontrollably. At this time, the fierceness on her face disappeared and was replaced by pain and fear. She struggled madly. "Wanfu! Mother!" The Yi family's master and the 12-year-old Li Huasheng both changed their expressions. The Yi family's master staggered forward and looked at Lin Tian with pleading eyes. "Little brother, please be merciful and let Wanfu go this time, please." Bang! Lin Tian released a powerful force from his body and directly sent the Yi family's master flying. Blood splattered all over the sky. He turned his head again and stared at Li Wanfu. The sword in his right hand spat out and mercilessly pierced through her left eye. "Ah! My eye!" Li Wanfu let out a shrill scream and struggled even more violently in Lin Tian's hand. Blood flowed out of her left eye and dyed half of her face red. For a moment, the 9 elders of the Yi family trembled. Lin Tian stared coldly at Li Wanfu. Gouge out my disciple's eyes. You should also have a taste of losing your eyes. The sword in his right hand was still spitting out. He attacked again and mercilessly pierced through Li Wanfu's last eye. Ah! Li Wanfu screamed, and her voice became even more shrill. Eyes! My eyes! Li Wanfu screamed. Her entire face was dyed red with blood. She looked like a malicious spirit. Lin Tian's face was emotionless and even a little cruel. He attacked again and grabbed Li Wanfu's right arm. He twisted it and tore her right hand off. Blood splattered all over the sky. Ah! Li Wanfu screamed. Her eyes were pierced through, and her neck was grabbed by Lin Tian. She could only kick her legs in pain. Save me! Save me! Lin Tian attacked again. The sword in his right hand slashed through and chopped off Li Wanfu's left hand. It was thrown far away. Ah! Li Wanfu let out an even more shrill scream. She was covered in blood and looked like a vengeful spirit that had crawled out of hell. Lin Tian's face was cold. He released his grip on Li Wanfu's neck and kicked her dozens of feet away. Li Wanfu rolled far away. She was covered in blood and stained the ground red. Her body twitched slightly. Her blood-stained face was full of fear and despair. My eyes, my hand. Such a scene was somewhat frightening and cruel. Even the 9 grand elders of the Yi clan, who had lived for many years, revealed fear in their eyes at this moment. Their bodies could not help but tremble. Wanfu, the head of the Yi family, struggled to stand up and ran towards Li Wanfu. Clang, clang, clang. It was also at this moment that the ear-piercing sound of a sword rang out. In the sky, the dense golden sword slashed down like rain and drowned Li Wanfu. Blood and dust splattered all over the sky. When the dust settled, there was a large crater. Li Wanfu had completely disappeared, leaving behind only some flesh and blood in the crater. Lin Tian's golden sword rain had cut her into pieces. Immediately, the head of the Yi family's face changed. The 12-year-old Yi Huaxing trembled violently. The 9 elders of the Yi family also changed their expressions. Li Wanfu was dead. Dead. She's finally dead. This vicious woman is finally dead. She deserved to die. She deserved to die. Old servant who clenched his fists. Whooshing Crocodile's eyes were cold. That F asterisk king B asterisk tisich. We let her off too easily. We should let her live a life worse than death. Lin Tian's face was cold. At this moment, he stared at Li Huaxing and stepped forward. Yi Tong's son, I had been attached to Li Huaxing's body. I wanted to take it back. When the 9 grand elders of the Yi family saw Lin Tian walking towards Li Huaxing at this moment, they were all shocked. In an instant, all of them moved and blocked in front of Yi Huaxing. Little brother, what are you doing? The leader of the elders said. I'm taking back what belongs to Yi Tong. Lin Tian's voice was cold. Hearing this, the expressions of the 9 supreme elders of the Yi clan changed a little. Little brother, you mustn't. This son I has already fused with Huaxing's body. If you take it out now, it will greatly damage the divine eye. With little Tong's current condition, he can no longer nourish the divine eye. Even if you take it back, it will be useless. It will be destroyed for no reason. Although this is very unfair to little Tong, the Yi family only has 1 divine eye left. We can't let it be damaged. Little brother, please be magnanimous and let Huaxing go. Let this divine eye remain in Huaxing's body. As for little Tong, we will do our best to compensate him. Don't worry. The 9 elders of the Yi family were very anxious. Lin Tian's face was cold. He only said 1 word, scram. With a boom, a majestic force rippled out from his body. It was like a raging wave that swept across all directions. Bang! 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 The 9 elders of the Yi family were sent flying, each of them coughing up large mouthfuls of blood. Even if something that belongs to my disciple is destroyed, it still belongs to my disciple. No one else has the right to possess it. His voice was bone-chilling. However, although he said that, he was absolutely confident that he could return Yi Tong's son eye intact. This was because he had the medicine encyclopedia of the master apothecary, one of the 9 heavenly sovereigns. With his flawless alchemy encyclopedia and his current cultivation level, he could guarantee that the sun I would not be damaged at all. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.